Backs in the history of football, O.J. Simpson completed one of the great records of all time, a single-season rushing record in the National Football League of 2,003 yards. So, on this night, we salute the great back. He is with us for our finale of special editions of Monday Night Football this season, and so are the Jets. It will be the Jets against the Miami Dolphins.
This ABC Sports Exclusive is brought to you by Nissan, who invites you to see the new 1984 Nissan 300ZX at your Datsun dealer now. By Miller High Life, the best beer for the best time of the day. Welcome to Miller Time. By Sharp Electronics Corporation, from Sharp Minds, from Sharp Products. And by Digital Equipment Corporation, quality, compatibility, reliability. Computers from Digital.
Welcome to the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. A sold-out crowd, 75,000 plus, a fitting tribute to the AFC Division champion Miami Dolphins. And tonight, they go against the New York Jets. The Jets 7-8. They're trying to finish their season at 500, and sometimes that's a pretty tough team to go up against. The Dolphins are looking for home field advantage. They can clinch a home field advantage tonight for the first playoff game if they can win tonight. And should they win tonight and the Chargers beat the Raiders on Sunday, well, they can have it throughout the entire playoffs. I'm Frank Gifford along with Howard Cosell and O.J. Simpson, but the Dolphins go without their young rookie tonight, Howard.
They certainly do, and there he is, Dan Marino, elated because he has made pro football history. He will be the starting quarterback for the AFC in the forthcoming Pro Bowl game, elected by the other players in the league. But tonight, the man who filled in so handily against Atlanta a week ago, John Strock, will be working tonight. He has uncommon effectiveness against the Jets, historically. Right now, ready for the play-by-play and the opening kickoff, the Gipper.
Handily, an understatement. Strock last week, 18 of 22, 229, a couple of touchdowns. First action, really, of the year. And the Dolphins do want that home field advantage because over the last 14 years, they have won over 80% of their games that they have played here. We're looking deep to Fulton Walker as the Dolphins will receive. Walker shaken up last week, but nevertheless, he leads the NFL in kickoff returns, over 26 yards of return. He was questionable. He spent a night in the hospital. This is Walker. He brings it out. And he did not hurt his average with that return. He spotted a little opening and just erupted out over the 30-yard line, where the Dolphins will have a first down and 10. And here comes Don Strock. I mentioned those numbers. He was sensational last week against Atlanta. He's so cool. That was a 31-24 win over the Atlanta Falcons. Strock has been around for a long time, and he's in his 10th year. He's sort of the fireman for these Dolphins, but he has provided sensational games. You remember the 81 playoff game against San Diego? He came off the bench in the second quarter. He was 29 of 43, 4 touchdowns, over 400 yards. He's leading it in a game tonight that they would certainly like to win. First down and 10. Tony Nathan, single setback, wearing number 22 and the two tight ends for him at Strock. Strock reads it quickly and goes to Hardy. Hardy, who had a big game against Atlanta a week ago, held to a couple of yard pickup. It'll be second down and 8. Let's take a look at the defensive unit, headed, of course, by Mark Gastineau with the 19 sacks. He's the best in the NFL through 15 weeks. Bob Crable has really come on a middle linebacker for these Jets. And there is the secondary. The man who roams the middle, Darrell Ray, one of the finest in the game. Second down and 8, 34-yard line for the Dolphins. Andre Franklin comes in to join Tony Nathan as a setback. It's been raining over the past 24 hours. At times, heavily. The field, however, has been covered. It is dry. Nathan with a big opening. First down out over the 40-yard line, up to the 43-yard line. And O.J. Nathan does so many things so well for this team.
Yes, he's one of the more underrated backs in the league, but he runs well, and you see his average 4.5. If they gave him the ball a little more, he would have a serious chance of leading the league in rushing. Maybe not leading the league, but he would get that 1,000 yards.
Also into tonight, Nathan has 51 receptions. The Dolphins do not have a rusher or a receiver in the top 10, but they do have an 11-4 record. Second best with the Raiders in the NFL. Strock sets up, fires, and it's complete. Gets it into Matt Moore. 40-yard line of the Jets. And Strock read the defense well. Had to put that a little bit behind Nat Moore, and Nat Moore, who really had a comeback season, was right there.
Take a look at the end zone replay here. You see Grable over there, hustling over there, and he just got the ball in there a little behind him, but a real nice catch.
That's Bobby Jackson covering. And good heady move by Nat Moore. You saw him hesitate because he did not want to get in front of that linebacker. Strock read it with him. 1st and 10, the Dolphins near the 40-yard line. Duper is a speedy wide receiver to Strock's right. Nat Moore up at the top of the screen. Going out to the tight end, and this is Dan Johnson, second-year man out of Iowa State. And he's up close to another first down, just a little bit short.
Frank mentioned it was raining earlier. This is the way it was at 7:15 Eastern Time tonight. But one difference. This time, unlike before the playoffs a year ago between these two teams, a top covered the field. So the Jets are without excuses, and already Strock is picking them apart the way he usually does.
He's 3 for 3. Last week in the first half against Atlanta, he went 11 for 11. Second down at about 2. This is Andrew Franklin. This time he stacked up and breaks loose. And he's going to have the yardage for the first down just on second effort. He was hit behind the line of scrimmage, and he'll pick up the first round. Andrew Franklin, now in his 3rd year, coming in tonight with a little over 700 yards rushing, and an interesting stat on Franklin. Shula uses his people to the best of their ability. Franklin has not had 1 reception this season.
That says something about his ability to catch the ball.
But he gets the most out of them.
But Shula does, as John Madden once put it. He makes the whole better than the part. That's the story of Shula.
They've always been a team.
Long-time colleague Bill Arnsparger is moving on to LSU after this season. They have been some team. Rock, a lot of time, great timing effort, underthrown, however. Tried to get it to Nat Moore, who had broken out in front of Ken Troy. Strock under a little bit of a pressure, had to release that actually before Moore made his final out move.
That's the only way they're going to stop that man, Strock, is by getting to him.
Series record tied at 17 apiece with that one tie. They're tied here, they're tied in New York. The Jets had a whammy on them for a couple of years
while Walt Michaels was the coach.
They won 7 of 8 and tied the other one. But last year, the Dolphins beat the Jets 3 times. Walt Michaels coaches. 2nd and 10. Shot, Super Duper. And Super Duper, having a great year, came in tonight needing 68 yards to reach 1,000 yards on the season. He got a bunch of it there. He only needed 65 yards to become the all-time leading receiver of the Dolphins, and he's getting close already.
They made it look so easy, the whole drive, like playing a high school team, didn't they, Chief?
Well, they did. As you see Duper catch the ball there, they did a great job of throwing the quick passes, forcing the linebackers to rush out there and get on their man, play the short guys tight, and they got the wide receivers downfield and finding those zones, those open areas, and
nearly 5 minutes off the clock, or nearly 4 minutes. Uwe von Schaman for the conversion. Don Strock will place it down. Put in the upright, and the Dolphins bring the first possession, the length of the field, for a Miami touchdown. And this man sets it up and takes it in. We'll be back.
49ers on ABC Monday Night Football.
It's a festive occasion here in the Orange Bowl tonight. It is sold out. Being televised locally. Of course, football fever is settled in here in Miami. We have a big Orange Bowl coming up, meeting with Miami University in Nebraska. There are the Jet return men. Preston Brown, one of the real finds for the Jets this year. They got him from New England. He's up there with about a 24-yard average return. And Uwe von Schaman, with a sore leg that developed this past Wednesday, is going to kick off. We were told that perhaps the punter would, Robbie. To Preston Brown. And he is popped at the 20-yard line.
You got to feel bad for Preston Brown. You know he was coming into the game hoping he can pop one and possibly maybe lead the league in kickoff returns, but that certainly hurt his average and any chance he may have had of catching Walker.
This is Richard Todd, the quarterback. Had a tough year, 60%, 17 touchdowns, but he's had 24 interceptions. And in the last 3 meetings against the Dolphins, he's been intercepted 12 times. He's had a tough season. Scott Dirking, single setback. Rusty Walker in motion, and Todd is back on his first offensive play. Fires, and it's complete. Gets it to Dirking, working out of the backfield for a gain of about 8. It'll be second down and 2, hit there by Ernie Roan. And no one plays this game better, I don't think, than Miami defensively. They move around a great deal, but it is organized chaos, if you will, choreographed by Bill Arnsparger, as perhaps no defense I've ever watched has been choreographed. They have a couple of Pro Bowlers. In fact, they have 6 altogether. We'll talk about that during the course of the evening. But one of them is Bob Baumauer and Doug Betters. Betters with 16 sacks. Todd Schuler does not hold on. He's hit hard by one of the Bruce brothers. That was Glenn Blackwood of the Blackwood brothers. Hit Schuler just as he collected the ball, and Schuler did not hold on. It'll be third down and 2.
Well, both teams seem to have the same idea. They come out and try to hit that quick pass, relatively short pass, to force those linebackers to hustle out of there, and then they sometimes try to pop a run up the middle. Get those linebackers' attention.
Third down and 3. It's Scott Dirking, 25. Freeman McNeil, 24. But Todd is back. Looks wide to the receiver. Good defensive effort intended out there for wide receiver Wesley Walker, and that was Charles Bowser, who filled some mighty big shoes this past year when the Dolphins lost Larry Gordon tragically to a heart attack last spring.
There's a team that had second and 2. They're in their own territory at their 28. You want to get upfield at the very least, rather than give the other team good field position. The signal caller, who in this case is the coach, elected not to. So they punt.
There is Mark Clayton. Chuck Ramsey on the punt. Mark Clayton coming back from a broken rib some 3 weeks ago. He was questionable, as was Bolton Walker tonight. And the Dolphins, who scored on their very first possession, have good field position. They will be out at the 38-yard line. 34-yard punt by Ramsey. We'll be back. Two who are being besieged by winter storms that are sweeping the country. Welcome back to the Orange Bowl of Miami. Temperature in the 70s. We've had some rain, but certainly it is much better than what many of you are experiencing. First down and 10, the Dolphins leading 7-0 from their own 38-yard line. Tony Nathan stacked up. Gastineau was there. He got a little help from Kenny Neal coming in from the right side. There will be a loss of a couple of yards. Gastineau is not one of the favorites down here.
See Gastineau, they've been picking on him for the last couple of weeks running the ball, but the guy that made that play was Glecko. I mean, he came in inside, forced the runner to go outside where Gastineau was waiting for him.
That's exactly right. In fact, Gastineau, many contend, is physically the finest athlete in the league. But he's been giving ground to the run and not playing it well, and he's not been developed in that regard.
And that's why he's not a starter in the Pro Bowl this year, I believe.
That's right.
Movement, that was Trucco who jumped off sides. He too will be in the Pro Bowl. So the Jets have Pro Bowlers on their left side of their 4-3. Flag is down. That game will be January the 29th, and you'll see it right here on ABC. Here's the call from Gene Barth. 73 defense, offside. Trucco made a remarkable comeback from that ruptured patella tendon in his right knee early a year ago.
You know, he's done a super job, Klecko, of keeping the traps off Gastineau. I noticed in last week's game against Pittsburgh, they were able to hook him a lot and get outside of him, and I was a little surprised at that. You know, he's led the league in sacks, and you would think that a defensive lineman who leads the league in sacks would be a starter in the Pro Bowl, but because he hasn't done his run. But he hasn't stopped the run, and the players around the league know that when it comes time to vote.
Following the penalty, it's second down and 7. The ball at the 41-yard line and dropped back once again. At the time, looking for the speedster, Duper. And Duper saying that he was bumped by Bobby Jackson. There is no flag. And Duper, O.J. Bill, you'd appreciate. Has that great speed.
Well,
The 10-2 for the 100 meters. He was an anchor man for the NCAA 400-meter championship team back in 1980.
Oh, he got bumped a little bit, but did you see how he ran by Jackson? I mean, that's
accelerated beyond his early speed, and that's what he can do, and that's really what Frank was talking about. You're talking about a world-class speed runner, and they can do that.
Well, imagine if he would have played the first 5 games. He didn't play much until Darrell Harris got into the doghouse with Don Shula, and he's had quite a season. He's an all-pro, voted by the other players in the league.
3rd down and 7. Back from the shotgun. That's for Joe Rose over the middle, and this will be short by about a foot, I think. It was right in front of us.
So it appears.
And it looks as though it will be short. Bob Crable there defensively for the Jets.
Same problem that always plagues Don Meredith. You've heard him talk about it. If you're going to receive a pass, you've got to make first down territory.
Well,
You've got to know where you're at.
Yeah, well, Rose was running a little turn-in, a delayed across the middle, a little turn-in. I think it was a good play by the defense because I think he ran his right route the way they wanted him to. The defensive guy was just on him real well.
Kurt Springs dropped for the Jets. He leads the NFL in punt returns. He won the New Orleans game 4 weeks ago with a 76-yard scamper. And Reggie Roby, a rookie out of Iowa, 6th-round draft pick, he's having a tremendous year, averaging just under 43 yards, but he puts it up unbelievably high.
Well, that was unusual.
Now we have a delay, and we have a flag down. I think that Miami's going to have to settle for a 5-yard delay.
For some reason, the center didn't even line up over the ball.
No, they wanted to try and, well, that's true. They couldn't have even been trying to draw them offside.
They never lined up over the ball.
Delay a game, number 4 offense, still 4th down.
But, you know, there's a lot of games within the game, and possibly, you know, Roby has an opportunity to break the record here for punts. He's averaging 42.9 yards a punt, and he can break the season record held by a guy named George Roberts.
He looked at the officials and said, I didn't do anything, as they call up number 4, but that's how they credit it.
Well, that's going to help
Roby with a beautiful shot, and he'll put that out of bounds at the 12-yard line. He got as much out of that as he could, hit it the sideline, 46-yard punt. And so the rookie from Iowa, Reggie Roby, continues apace. Here in the Orange Bowl, considering the weather that's plaguing much of the country, well, it's a delight to be down here. You're going to be here quite a while, Howard.
Yes, quite an anniversary for the Juice, as we noted at the top of the telecast.
I was there for Wide World, handling the interview, which he would not do until he had his entire offensive line. We ran over. Denny Lewin got terribly upset. 1st down and 10, and Todd tries to get it into the tight end. Jerome Barkham, nothing doing there. Good defensive coverage.
Interesting stat on the Jets, Frank. They are the poorest team in the AFC in completing passes for 20 yards and more. The current offense features, in the main, the dump-off pass and the kind of short thing you just saw to the tight end, Jerome Barkham. And they are paying the piper for it.
And 2nd down and 10. Ricky Schuler, Jerome Barkham, 2 tight end offense now. And out of the I formation, Freeman McNeil. Who led the league in rushing a year ago. He's hit at the line of scrimmage. He maybe squeaked a yard out of it. It'll bring up 3rd down, long yardage for the Jets and Richard Todd. Bowser again defensively. Freeman McNeil, of course, missed 7 weeks with that shoulder separation at the outset of the season. Came into the night with a little over 600 yards rushing.
Well, he played strongly against New Orleans in his comeback game. But since then, they've been stopping. Now, that's the sign that says ABC got the juice, but we started it with Miami has the oranges, but Buffalo has the juice.
3rd and 8. Camper in quickly on Todd. A flag goes down, deep downfield. Todd was trying to get the ball to Lamb Jones, and is saying that Kozlowski was interfering. He, of course, one of the 6 backs in there for the Miami Dolphins, so that'll give the Jets a 1st down out over the 30-yard line.
Now, that was a pass thrown downfield as we wait the call here.
Interference, number 40 defense, 1st down.
And Lamb Jones has been signally successful, as you note, Frank, in recent games. There was the penalty. You saw it right there.
Clean penalty, as you said, Howard. That's one of the bright spots for the Jets this year has been Lamb Jones. He's really come on, and that's something to look forward to.
Upending Richard Todd. First down and 10. The ball out over the 32-yard line for the Jets. They trail 7-0. 8 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Todd finds the man. Steps out of the pocket and he hits Lamb Jones. And Lamb Jones will have a first down at the 43-yard line of the Miami Dolphins. Working in front of William Judson. And a good move by Richard Todd to get out of trouble.
An excellent move by Todd, who this year had difficult times with the interceptions that Frank noted earlier as you look at Lamb Jones, and who's been a maligned quarterback, one who was good enough to take the Jets to one game short of the Super Bowl a year ago. He doesn't deserve the raps he's taken.
First down inside the 43-yard line. Lamb Jones with a fine reception. The Jets on the move. Todd, Freeman McNeil, he holds on. And had a collision at the 35-yard line against Judson, and McNeil won that definitely, as he'll get another first down for the Jets. We're very close to it. I think we'll see a measurement on this. And as we mentioned Lamb Jones, in the last 7 games, he's had 28 receptions coming into tonight. There's a man, Bill Hampton, who missed his first Jets game tonight in years. He's the equipment manager. He was the man that called Lamb Jones aside a few weeks ago, and he said, look, great receivers work hard, Lamb. And Lamb is a youngster that really listens. So he starts staying out after practice, working on catching the ball, working on the patterns. As you can see, just a little bit short, but Bill Hampton, who they call No Problem, the equipment manager, got this young man aside and said, look, you're going to look back on it someday, and you're going to regret that you didn't put every effort into it. And Lamb Jones, I don't think, really thought he was not. But ever since that little chat and the extra work after practice, Lamb Jones is playing up to the all-pro potential that many people have felt that he's had.
And if he continues to do so, that will inevitably, as you look at Coach Walton, who was once Don Shula's roommate with the Washington Redskins, a little detailed fact, Lamb Jones will ultimately free Wesley Walker.
Second down. You saw how much? Jerking in motion. This is Kenny Lewis. And Lewis steps out of bounds. Gets the first down. That was Kenny Lewis's second attempt of the season. Of course, the Jets are playing without Mike Augustiniak, injured reserve with the knee, and a very celebrated release of Dwayne Crutchfield a few weeks ago. So they're down to Kenny Lewis, whom they had back in 1981. They waived him. Originally was with Oakland. Kenny Lewis I'm speaking of. That was his second attempt thus far of the season. First down and 10, 31-yard line. Schuler in motion. Here comes Freeman McNeil. McNeil breaks to the outside and is looking for the end zone and held there by Gerald Small. And look, as you look at this game coming in tonight, I watched William Andrews last week of Atlanta go for 161 yards rushing against the Dolphins. That was their problem a year ago. Bill Arnsparger has them down defensively against the rush this year from 24th last year to 6th. But William Andrews really ripped them. And while McNeil does not run, perhaps with the strength that William Andrews does, nevertheless, he's got a lot of power and a lot of quickness.
And they attack the Dolphins inside, which is what you really have to do if you're going to be successful running on them.
McNeil got 8. Gets the call again. He'll have the first down. He's inside the 20-yard line as the Jets are on a drive.
Well, there's a flag down here.
Flag down far across the field. Illegal motion. It could have been the motion man. They were bringing the tight end back with a block inside, and he did look like he was moving towards the line of scrimmage.
Well, I mentioned that with the Dolphins, you normally have more success running inside rather than outside. And let's hear the call here.
Illegal motion, 31 offense, still second down.
I mentioned in an earlier telecast, Duke, Juice, I don't think you were with us. Duke, that's a rather good name for you. That the finesse teams are Miami and Dallas. The strength teams are the Redskins and the Raiders.
I agree with that.
They should skip the playoffs and go right to the Super Bowl, I guess. The 2nd and 7, 7th play of the drive. To Todd, he had Dolphins all around him. Betters was there. Due was there. Bocamper was there.
Dewey deflected that pass.
Yeah, he made that, but I'll tell you, I noticed one thing last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, that Todd threw the short pass, as you can see Dewey coming around. I don't think that ball, well, he may have forced him to throw the ball sooner than he would have liked to, and I think that was Betters maybe. But he hasn't thrown the ball, speaking of Todd, he hasn't thrown the ball downfield too effectively. He throws that short pass, and you mentioned Howard, they've been throwing the ball short more than any other team in football, but he does not throw the ball downfield too well this year. I wonder if there could be something wrong with his arm.
Todd is in single digits on the 30-second clock and counting down. 3rd down and 7, and he gets it off. A little mix up in the backfield, but Kenny Lewis breaks it and inside the 20 for another Jet first down. Kenny Lewis out of Virginia Tech.
Well, that was a little delayed draw play. It worked for him. I mentioned earlier that Miami is a tough team to run outside on because they teach the defensive linemen not to penetrate. They get their hands on the offensive linemen, they slide to the ball, and they stay in position, and they're probably the best pursuing team in football. So if you're going to beat them running the ball, you got to pop them in there quick.
Mickey Schuler, as you saw, got the play from Joe Walton, brings it into the huddle. Since Lamb Jones has been playing so well, the Jets are not using their wide receivers with the plays. They use the tight ends, Barkham and Schuler. 1st down and 10. Single set back at Freeman McNeil. The ball just inside the 20. Play action by Richard Todd. He's in trouble, but McNeil is wide open. Easy touchdown, Jets, as McNeil was wide open. The Dolphins in a blitz. They were sending linebacker A.J. Dewey. And a very good, cool effort by Richard Todd.
And poor Glenn Blackwood, he didn't have a chance. You get a back like McNeil, you know, that wide open when the guy watching. McNeil is going to swing right out of the backfield. Actually, I think somebody missed their assignment there. Obviously, I think Ernie Roan was supposed to pick him up, and he thought McNeil was coming up to block him, and he didn't. But look at that Blackwood. No chance in the world.
Bad lay. And we saw the movement. They have 4:47 remaining in the first quarter. Here's Dean Barth again. Encroachment defense will penalize on a succeeding kickoff.
McNeil could have gone by Blackwood blindfolded that time. Give a guy like him that much room.
He is quick, and he works well out of that backfield. He puts it through, and we got a tie football game here in the first quarter in a game that the Dolphins, they feel, is so necessary. They want the home field in the playoffs, and they're playing like it tonight. They're tied on a successful drive. Gets the Jets on the scoreboard. Jets, of course, looking to go 8-8 on the season. Disappointing one. Many people thought they'd be in the Super Bowl at the end of this year. That's certainly not the case. And, of course, the people that could be there, once again, the Miami Dolphins, these are some of their fans. They sold out the Orange Bowl, 75,000 plus for tonight's encounter. Holden Walker is dropping, leading the NFL in kickoff through 15 weeks. Pat Leahy set to put it in the air. Walker, this time with the deep kick of Leahy, will stay in the end zone.
All right, Dan Marino will be the first rookie to start in the Pro Bowl game. I asked him just before game time how he learned about it.
Well, Howard, in a meeting, Coach Shula named all the starters and all the guys that made in the Pro Bowl.
Must have been a moment of violation for you.
Well, it was a good feeling when he announced it. I felt very honored, and it was the type of feeling that it felt good to me because of the fact that some other guys on our team made the team also.
Dan Marino, we saw him in exhibition. Howard and O.J. up against the Washington Redskins. We knew right away that they had a good one, and they had a very cool one. 1st and 10 now for the Dolphins. As Sox leads the attack, Marino, very sore knee, missed last week's game, but certainly will be ready for the playoffs. That's Tony Nathan on 1st and 10.
You mentioned a very cool one. He is that and something more. He says all the right things, always giving credit to his teammates, but his self-confidence is not an undercurrent self-confidence. It manifests itself. It borders on being cocky. That's how good he knows he is.
He'll control it under Shula. You can bet that. Bet on that.
Second down, less than a yard for the Dolphins. That's Mark Clayton in motion. He gets it on the reverse. Gets inside a Jet, and a good pursuit by the Jet defense. Headed by number 93, Marty Lyons, looking over from the right tackle position, and a good read by the Jet defense.
Yeah, especially by Mark Gastineau, because he evidently is playing his position first before he takes off after the quarterback, and he was the guy
Which is what he did there. Although he was ridden out on a great block by Stevenson, he still delayed the runner long enough so that the defense could get up there and quell the play. So give Gastineau credit on that.
Good job on that.
Third down and 9. Duper is right. And Dorial Harris now goes to the top of your screen. From the shotgun. Stock under a little bit of pressure and tried to get it to Rose. And it's a pass that could have been picked off by Lance Mel. And if he had caught that ball, Lance Mel would have tied an NFL record for interceptions by linebackers. His block now is shaken up.
He was hit, and hit hard. But Mel was perfectly positioned. There's a case of a linebacker being perfectly positioned. Look at it, Chief.
And Scott does a good job. He tries. Oh, he's trying to get that. Oh, helmet right there in the sternum there.
That's Klecko. And I've got a feeling that Stock has got the wind knocked out of him, and hopefully it's not something worse, because Klecko at 265 pounds, not only hit him, he drilled him right into the turf. Stock is not one of your more mobile quarterbacks around. And David Woodley opened the season as a starter, was a starter in the Super Bowl a year ago, the starter for the Dolphins the last couple of years. Didn't get things happening in the early going, and Marino stepped in the fourth game of the season, and they've been unable to get him out of there other than because of the knee injury. Stock will get a chance to breathe because it's fourth down, and Reggie Roby is on. And Kurt Springs is back, and the Jets should have good field position, barring a mishap. With 3:50 remaining in the first quarter, we're tied at 7. Kurt Springs.
Another guy who's trying to lead the league in kickoff returns. One of the games within this game, and there's a lot of guys around the league, especially Greg Pruitt out in L.A. like to see the Jets cover this.
That doesn't turn over for Roby, and it takes a bit of a jet bounce, and the Jets will have good field position. They're on 43-yard line.
And Roby was precious there, Frank.
Stock appears to be okay on the sidelines. We'll get a report if we can. We'll be back in a moment. That was quite a performance Dick Anderson put on here, Howard.
That was some game. That was when Shula called the intentional safety to preserve the victory.
And we were right on top of it.
Yes, surely. You'll be skiing with Dick in another week, won't you?
We'll be out in Vail in about 10 days with the Andersons. He is a great skier. First down and 10, 43-yard line. Todd hands off. This time to Marion Barber. He bounces off Dewey, and then Doug Better collecting after a gain of a yard and a half.
Got to give the Jets credit. Miami made it look like they were playing a high school team in scoring in 3 minutes and 18 seconds. Strock carrying them downfield with ridiculous ease. But the Jets have fought back, and Todd threw the key pass to McNeil to tie 7-7.
Second down, long yardage. Good blitz down for the Dolphins. Bill Arnsparger likes to send them. Good pickup. This time, again, Schuler is hit. This time, it is the other Blackwood, Lyle Blackwood, that unloads on Schuler, and Schuler is unable to hold on, and Schuler is slow getting up.
Yeah, they're trying to make this an extra long offseason for Shula. Twice he ran basically the same pattern, and twice they were waiting for him.
Barkham's coming over to see how Mike Shula is.
Until you throw some balls deep downfield, plays like that aren't going to open up for you too much. You got to throw downfield to get those safeties worried about getting beat deep, and then those shorter patterns will open up for you.
Shiller shaken up. You saw in the replay, he took that blow on the shoulder, which was quite fortunate. there's one thing the Blackwoods will do, they will really pop you. Third down and 8.
This will be an interesting play call.
Funny thing about this game, I'm sure the Jets had a tough time getting up during the week, but when they start beating on you through a few series, you tend to get up and ready to play.
They've only worked out 2 days. They came down to work out last night, and the field was covered. It was raining, so they couldn't. Dodd has the time, and he gets it off the jerk, and he doesn't hold on. It'll bring up 4th down.
Well, this is turning into batting practice for the Dolphins secondary.
That was William Judson who put the hammer on Scott Durking out of the backfield.
Jets must throw the ball deep to open up those medium passes.
Jets remember him in their 32-14 loss earlier in the season to the Dolphins. Judson picked off 3 of Todd's passes in 1 quarter. Chuck Ramsey back to punt. Clayton is back. Clayton with a little over a 10-yard average, had a 60-yard touchdown earlier in the season. Dangerous man. 8th round rookie pick out of Louisville. Beautiful punt by Ramsey. Clayton bobbles at the 15 and upended and instantly there. So the Dolphins start at their 15-yard line. And we want to remind you, coming up tomorrow, college football at its finest. So they play some of the finest. Division I AA. To Western Carolina, they have an 11-2 record. They go against Southern Illinois, 11-1 from Charleston, South Carolina, right here on ABC, 1:30 Eastern Time. Stock is back, just the wind knocked out of him, as we thought. If you ever had the wind knocked out of you, and I know Juice has, you feel like a terminal. Juice has arthritis. On the 15-yard line, just over the 15. Nathan is piled up. The Jets, of course, play the classical 4-3 defense. One of the few teams remaining that play the 4-3 defense. And it does help Mark Gastineau, and I'll take nothing away from Gastineau. He is one of the finest athletes I've ever seen, 6'5" and 265. But when you have a Joe Klecko inside, we tested on it throughout the course of the year. Gastineau working with Klecko can really do a lot of things that, for instance, Doug Petters, who plays in a 3-4, cannot do with Miami. That's the time remaining in the first quarter. And a 2nd down and 8. Movement by the Dolphins.
Actually, on the previous play, it was David Overstreet in the game, and if Overstreet ever comes and play the ball that they expect him to play, the ball that he's capable of playing, this Dolphins team,
he did last week.
That's the point, Frank. And that, again,
Offside, 87 offense.
okay, but that's all. That's the point, really. The way Shula brings people along, the way he brought Marino along, now he's bringing Overstreet along just the right way, trying to rebuild his confidence after a mediocre period because he had failed even in the Canadian League with the Alouettes. Last game, 12 carries, 83 yards for Overstreet.
yeah, he can give them in their running game what Duper has done for their passing game.
He had only carried it 12 times in the previous 6 games. But Shula said he was going to give it to him, and he did. And he had the best production of any Miami running back a week ago for the entire year. That's Andre Franklin struggling, and the Dolphins have got themselves, I think, into a fight tonight as Franklin works his way back up to maybe just inside the original line of scrimmage.
Game's early yet, 1:20 and counting down the first quarter.
They'll mark it up close to the 18, so it'll put Sock into a 3rd down and 8 situation. Nathan comes back in. 3 wide receivers now for the Dolphins. Joriel Harris, 82. Duper, 85. Nat Moore, 89. And Joe Rose, who is almost like the wide receivers, also there. From the shotgun, 3rd and 8. Sock trying to get to Rose. Pass interference. And Darrell Ray was running side to side. Darrell Ray would turn around a little more quickly, would have intercepted it. So that should move the Dolphins up to a 1st down over their own 40-yard line. Interference, 29 defense, 1st down. Actually, it was Johnny Lynn.
Johnny Lynn, who's been a big ball player for the Jets, but who goes next year to the LA Express. Interestingly, the Jets have been very hurt by the USFL, and Leon Hess is reported, the owner of the Jets, to have said he's had enough. He's opening up the pocketbook, and the Jets will lose no more players. Mr. Hess says, somebody's looking for a fight. Number 28 in particular.
On 1st and 10, live action, Sock back. Fires a shot, it's complete. Gets it out. The man, Cooper. Mark Cooper came into tonight leading 68 yards for 1,000, and he's collected a few already.
The Jets would be well advised to stop with the attempted fisticuffs and pay attention to the game.
Well, I'd like to say at least they're fired up. You know, it's pretty tough to get a team motivated who's out of the playoff running this last game. I've been in this situation a number of times, and normally the only thing that keeps you going is pride. And the coach can get a pretty good gauge of the guys who really want to play. Some guys I've seen them just quit. I mean, literally on their way to the airport, you know, in the middle of the game. But these guys came to play tonight.
Well, it's best to know whether the Dolphins will get another playoff before time expires here in the first quarter. They won't. They're going to watch the second kickoff. So the Dolphins have a first down and 10. They're at the 38-yard line of the Jets. We'll be back with second quarter action in a moment. Well, they'll have him back. And he could, unless... An unbelievable day against the Raiders on Sunday. That won't be easy. He could lead the AFC in passing very easily. He's the leader as of tonight through 15 games, but he's not playing, of course. Don Stock remains on. First down and 10 as we begin the second quarter. 38-yard line of the Jets. The Dolphins on the move. Stock has Cooper open. And we're going to get a flag, and not a bad defensive play, I didn't think, by Jerry Holmes.
Well, he made that flag. But I think Holmes may have got his left arm on Duper's shoulder when he went up for the ball. But I'm sure we'll see it in replay. It was real close.
I agree with Meredith. He went into a long dissertation on this.
Interference, 47 defense, first down. They laid that out a little bit. There would have been no contest because Duper really had Holmes beaten.
Ball hung up a little bit.
I agree with that, but look at
that left arm, though.
I think he hit him about 2 strides before the ball got there. He did.
Yeah. That left arm. Here's a reverse angle look. We'll see if we can see it better. It'd be pretty tough to beat the shot we just had.
I'd go back to letting the defensive back
watch his left
all
arm
over the field. You watch it.
Watch the left arm on the head.
That's his
there.
right
the ball's not there. It's left arm.
If it's his left arm, you've changed.
No, the left arm came over his head, his helmet. It's the right arm that went for the ball.
Okay.
First down, goal to go. Franklin. Flecko drags him down just inside the 2-yard line. And it was Bill Arnsparger's birthday today. It was Joe Walton's birthday yesterday. Joe turning 48 years old. There's Arnsparger. Be moving on to LSU. They love their football down there. It's a hotbed. But there's some great people there. I've spent 10 days at the Special Olympics International Games. They turned out 65,000 people for the opening ceremonies. They had over 2,500 volunteers helping. That's where Bill will be going, to LSU after this season. Second down, goal to go. Wide open. Overstreet. Out of the backfield. Good play action by Strock.
Easy touchdown, 2 long throws, 2 interference calls, touchdown.
David Overstreet, handled well by Don Shula. Howard touched on it. Went up a couple of years ago to Montreal, fumbled the ball 16 times up there. He started out the season, fumbled again 4 times at the beginning of the year. They put him on injured reserve, sent him home. He had been the Dolphins' #1 draft pick 3 years ago. Don Shula brought him back, eased him back into the lineup. He had a super game last week against Atlanta. He has scored tonight once again.
And he's fired up and primed for the playoffs.
Uwe von Schamann for the conversion. Dolphins go back out on top. Dolphins leading 14-7. Visions of home field advantage dancing in their heads. We'll be back. Early moments of the second quarter. And the Dolphins get it in. Touchdown pass. Dropped to Overstreet. And the Jets now have dropped Kirk Springs and Preston Brown. Uwe von Schaman remains the kicker. I mentioned earlier that he had a slight muscle pull earlier in the week, and they rested him, and they were prepared to go with Reggie Roby, but von Schaman is still kicking. Preston Brown, and he'll bring it up. Out over the 20-yard line. Hit right at the 20-yard line.
Frank mentioned that Bill Arnsparger will be the head coach of LSU next year. I asked him, in view of the way he's loved here, why he's leaving.
It's something I thought a lot about, and it was just something, I guess you might say, it's a challenge I wanted with LSU and the university. I'd been on the other sideline down at Tiger Stadium, and I guess I kind of wanted to be on the right sideline because they have great fans and they have a great tradition, and I just want to be a part of that, and I want to be involved in it. And true, I could have probably stayed here for the next 10 years, the defensing, working with Don, and I've enjoyed it. My children have grown up here, and we've enjoyed it. But we're looking forward to LSU, and we're looking forward to the challenges that LSU will present.
That was Scott Durkee out of the backfield. Bill Arnsparger talking about his going on to become head coach at LSU.
That noise in the background was an equipment machine. They're working over the outside of the field, out beyond the sidelines, to try and get that part of the field dry. The main part had been covered, as we noted, by a tarp. Thus the background noise.
Durkee got 7, second down and 3. Todd back under pressure. And he does get it off. I think they'll mark it as a sack because he was in the grasp of Bob Baumauer, another Pro Bowler. Todd said he was able to get it loose, and he did indeed get it on the hands of Durkee, but they put that one in a few years ago to try and save quarterbacks.
First quarter stats: first downs almost even. Passing yards, Miami the edge. Total yards, Miami the edge, but not overwhelmingly. Time of possession, 2-minute edge for Miami. 14-7, Miami to score.
Loss of about 11 yards on that. It'll bring up third down and 13, and there's no question. Baumauer certainly had him in the grasp, and that is the rule, and the whistle had blown. Dodd fires. Tried to get it in. 3 Miami Dolphins in there covering Jerome Markham very tightly. Glenn Blackwood, perhaps the one who put the pressure on that one. But it'll bring up fourth down, and Ramsey drops out once again, and now Clayton drops back in an area that should give the Dolphins good field position.
What a difference in the coverages by the respective secondary.
Now, even though that was a ball that could have been caught, I know there's a lot of players around the league that's glad Arnsparger is leaving. I wish LSU would have offered him that job when I was playing. He was particularly tough on me.
In 10 years, under Shula here, he has either been first or second in points scored against the Dolphins. That's really remarkable.
Least points.
8 times in the lead in the fewest points scored. Ramsey had to hustle that one off. Burkett's called for by Kozlowski up near midfield, and the Dolphins will have the ball at the 49-yard line, and they lead 14-7. We're in the early going of the second quarter. 32-yard punt by Ramsey. The Orange Bowl, it sounds like a college gathering tonight. They're shouting defense. They were leading cheers while we were away. Short kick by Ramsey. He was under pressure, and the Dolphins have the ball at the 49-yard line. Strock on the night, 7 of 10, 84 yards already. He's thrown 2 touchdowns. He's matched what he did last week against Atlanta. Play action. Attempted screen to Duper, and he somehow stays on his feet and gets yardage down to the 42-yard line. A gain of 7. It'll be second down and 3, tripped up by Bobby Jackson. And Duper drawing ever closer to that magical 1,000-yard marker, which, strangely enough, with the great receivers the Dolphins have had, no one has ever cracked.
The graphic was in error. It was not, of course, Wesley Walker, but Super Duper.
Duper now needs 14 yards for his 1,000-yard season, and I'll echo what O.J. said. Think what would have happened if they'd used him much in the first 5 games.
I would look for the Dolphins to do some exotics here real soon to give their playoff opponents something to work against and think about.
Good point.
Third down, 7. Underthrown. Nat Moore, intended receiver. We're going to pause 5 seconds and allow our station to identify themselves.
Channel 10, WPLG TV Miami.
Third down, long 3 now for the Dolphins. The ball at the 44-yard line, or inside the 44-yard line of the Jets. Dolphins took their first possession. Got on the scoreboard quickly. It was Don Strock to Mark Duper from 29 yards out. Richard Todd came back, hit Freeman McNeil for 20 yards to tie it up at 7, and Don Strock a few moments ago hit David Overstreet in the end zone to make it 14-7 Miami. 11:48 remaining in the half. Third down, long 3, so Strock will work from the shotgun. Gets it to Joe Rose, and Joe Rose trying to get the ball up there for first down yardage in the arms of Lance Mel.
Darrell Ray moving it back.
They're going to mark it. Well, let's see. They're going to mark it. It looks as though he's going to get the yardage.
You mentioned earlier, Howard, about them running that pattern short. I think if Strock would have waited a tad longer, he would have had the necessary distance. Got it anyway.
First down, 38-yard line now, the Jets.
Well, you saw the protection Strock is getting. Nobody near him. The Jets' offensive line has kept the Jets quarterback and kicker under pressure all evening. People pouring through there.
He's only been sacked 3 times in the last 8 games, so they've been doing a heck of a job up front.
David Overstreet, and this time he turns the corner, and Overstreet running with much more confidence and authority than we saw earlier in the year. And he just exploded around that right side.
And he gives you the feeling he may go all the way every time he gets the ball. And when you have a back like that, you see what Freeman McNeil has been able to do for the Jets offense, at least in the last year, before he got hurt this year.
Frankly, what Sheila has not had in years. I mean, he's had to play a different kind of offensive game. He's always been looking for a David Overstreet, who just picked up 6 yards. It'll bring up second down and 4. Ball just short of the Jets' 32-yard line. Oh, and he's floating right through a hole in the middle with Franklin.
And not to overrate what Overstreet is doing, but when you got a back that can get outside like that, the defense has to spread a little bit, and you can pop these tight plays up the middle.
Job Stevenson, who's going to the Pro Bowl, by the way, number 57, did.
And Cooch did a pretty decent job coming around there, but he's been doing that for
a decade or two. Yes. Bob Kuchenberg will be an alternate to the Pro Bowl. First down and 10, 26-yard line. We'll be talking with Don Shula. Terry Blair did an in-depth interview with him earlier in the week. You'll hear that at halftime. We'll run down the possibilities for playoffs. And picked off. Down the sidelines. And Darrell Ray, roaming center field, came up with a Strock pass that he just left up there a little too long, and so the Jets will get the ball back.
Let's take a look at Darrell Ray. He was literally playing center field, and this is a play that he did often last year.
Well, he was very effective all last year in just this vein, and once he gets the football, he has been habitually a great runner. He ran one back for a TD while pulling a hamstring in the playoffs against the Bengals.
Well, actually, Ray was over there, double coverage with Duper, and Ray, who can really cover a lot of yardage, if you don't put a lot of something on it, Strock didn't. He hung it up.
So what they have here is both receivers lined up on the same side of the field. You see Nat Moore went down the middle, but Ray playing center field came right across, made a nice catch and a nice run on it. He's not had a bad year this year. He just has not made the big play that he made for them last year.
By his standards and his abilities, he's not had a good year.
He came from some 20 yards, and Darrell Ray gets the ball back for the Jets. They trail 14-7. They have it at their own 43. That's a free agent from Notre Dame 14 years ago. He's been to the Pro Bowl about 6 times with both a guard and a tackle, Bob Kuchenberg. The Jets have it. First down to 10. Their own 43-yard line. Freeman McNeil. And McNeil dances out over the 45-yard line for a gain of about 3. It'll be second down and 7.
Did Cooch sell his mansion yet?
I heard that he did. I don't know.
Yeah, I bet he made a nice profit on it.
He never failed.
More power.
And he hasn't even discussed retirement, has he?
I should. He's, again, an alternate in the Pro Bowl. Not that big anymore.
Hey, maybe Jim can come back.
Nope. We are told by our real estate agent he did not sell his mansion. Second down, 7. Todd is back. He underthrows and done.
And I I'm going to reiterate something, Howard. This guy has not thrown the ball. Speaking of Todd, has not thrown the ball well downfield in a couple of weeks. I have not seen him throw. I watched the entire game against Pittsburgh last week, and this game he has not thrown one good ball downfield.
Can't quarrel with that one. He had time.
You notice him
and he had his man free.
He has a severely bruised thigh that he had to leave the Jets game against
that could be a factor tonight.
However, third quarter last week, and they really did not know whether he was going to be able to go tonight or not. Third down and 7. Kenny Lewis. Not that Lewis to midfield and just inside, but short of the first down. It'll bring up first down, and that will produce Chuck Ramsey once again. Jets 7 and 8 on the year. The Dolphins 11 and 4 and looking to win tonight. To guarantee they'll get at least the divisional playoff advantage here. They'll wind up in a tie with the Raiders. They'll lose that one on a head-to-head because the Raiders beat them earlier in the year. Ramsey high, but it doesn't turn over. Derek gets called for by Kozlowski to the 16-yard line.
Good kick, though. He wasn't rushed for a change.
Just under 8 minutes remaining in the second quarter. The Dolphins have it over the Jets, 14-7. O.J. Simpson with the Orange Bowl in Miami. We hope you're enjoying wherever you are. We know a lot of you are experiencing really bad weather throughout the country. So just put your toes up a little closer to the fire. Enjoy. The Jets and the Dolphins are getting it on, and the Dolphins have the lead 14-7. And they have a first and 10 at their own 16-yard line with 7:49 remaining in the first half. So they spin around. It's Overstreet. And Overstreet running strongly once again out over the 25-yard line, close to another Dolphin first down. Hey, he can move, O.J.
Yes, he can. Dan Johnson does a good job on Ben Randolph, turning him around. And you see Stevenson. Now look at this. This is a center out there. When's the last time you saw a center out in front of the ball carrier on a sweep? Yeah. They do a job. That's why he's in the Pro Bowl, and that's why
last time was done in reverse when Stevenson rode Gastineau out, but Gastineau was able to give him enough of a battle so that the defense could read it and prevent an effective game.
Second down, less than a yard to go for the first. Franklin. He does heavy duty work, and he gets the first down up close to the 30-yard line.
Dishing out a few headaches coming in there, you know?
Again, Dwight Stevenson had to be in the middle of that. And, of course, another fine offensive lineman, Ed Newman. He's going to the Pro Bowl. He works right to the right of Dwight Stevenson. All in all, the Dolphins will have 6 going. Headed by Dan Marino, Mark Duper, Ed Newman, Dwight Stevenson. On defense, Doug Fetters and Baumhauer. First down and 10. The ball right at the 30-yard line. Shot. Good coverage out there by the Jets. John Woodring was underneath the coverage. And they had Bobby Jackson right behind the intended receiver, Mark Duper. Bring up second down and 10. Don Strock has had 19 career starts, and he's won some big ones. Passing at a little over 54% over those 10 years with those 19 starts. Came in a lot of games in relief. Final game of the regular season a year ago. Came in, replaced Woodley, threw 7 of 8. Got the Jets Dolphins in field goal position to win that game. Been doing it for a long time. Second and 10, Nat Moore in motion. Draw play to Franklin and read smartly. Gastineau.
You can tell Gastineau is thinking about last week because normally he would have been running upfield, rushing the passer on that. He came across the line, looked for the run, and made an excellent play on it.
He's been listening.
Well, he's been run on.
Hey, I bet you Fred Dean is watching. We're going to see him Monday night. We have the 49ers and San Francisco 49ers. Because Gastineau has the lead in the league with 19 sacks, but Fred Dean has 17 and a half.
And Betters is one behind that at 16.
Third down long. We'll see the Dolphins in the shotgun.
Gastineau is there quickly and forces Strock to throw quickly to Nat Moore, incomplete.
Now, that wasn't a sack, but that was the same thing as being a sack.
And again, Strock is pounded. That'll bring up fourth down, and Roby comes back out for the Dolphins. Gastineau, and every time his name is mentioned on the PA system, he gets a round of boos. They've been writing a lot about how much Doug Better plays as a team person than does Gastineau. I question that. Gastineau is vitally important to this Jet defense and a great athlete and a great player. No matter what you feel about the dance routine that he puts on after the sack.
I would say he and Lance Mills all season long have been the one bright spot for this Jet defense.
Wow, Roby really unloaded. What a Kurt Springs is back there. Went back from the 25 to the 10 to take it. And he's covered instantly. Good defensive play. Getting down there was Eddie Hill. But Reggie Roby unloads on a 58-yard effort. Back in the Orange Bowl in a moment. 5:53 remaining in the first half. The Dolphins over the Jets, 14-7, first down and 10. The Jets. The ball at their own 17-yard line, and Todd is back. Gets good protection. Gets it to Lamb Jones, and a good shot. Jones bobbles the ball. I think that's a free ball. Jones caught that ball, and the Dolphins have recovered.
Ernie Roan didn't know what was going on. He was just looking at the ball. He looked like he was playing soccer there for a little while.
Well, you can't pin that on Todd.
That was an excellent throw by Todd. So we'll take a...
And they have
that down.
Freeman McNeil is slow getting up for the Jets.
It's been that kind of year for the Jets. In fairness to all concerned.
Take a look at Lamb Jones. As we said, he's been playing excellent ball here. Runs a turn in there. The ball is right on the money. He's trying to adjust it to put it away. Now watch Roan. Playing a little soccer.
Didn't get a couple more yards out of it. That Freeman McNeil
the wrong way.
Tried to get in on it. I don't think anyone hit Freeman McNeil. Must have twisted his leg. He appears to be all right. But the Dolphins have the ball back inside the 42-yard line of the Jets.
You can't keep giving the Dolphins opportunity.
You won't get many of them back.
They're in the top three in the league once they get down.
They don't turn it over very frequently, and they're the least penalized team in football.
And they score.
Doc licking his lips like he's looking at a yummy bone. Fires it out to Dan Johnson, the tight end. A gain of about 3 yards on the play. It'll be a second down and 7. I mentioned in Monday night we'll be out in San Francisco. We'll be watching the 49ers in Dallas get it on, and then should the Giants knock off the Washington Redskins tomorrow in the nation's capital.
What's that?
Should the Giants knock off the Washington Redskins in the nation's capital?
That's what I thought you said.
Well, anything could happen. The Dallas Cowboys could win that division with the win over the 49ers. All kinds of things can happen good for the 49ers. We'll talk about that at halftime. Second down and 7. Wide open is Johnson. Lance Snell, slow getting out. And he takes Johnson out of bounds at the 26, but it's another Dolphin first down.
Take a look at it from the ground level. Dan just ran a simple out from his tight end position, and someone didn't get out there to cover him, and he's been playing some good ball for him. He's been noted as a blocker and catching the ball quite a bit this year.
Johnson, we spotted him, Frank and I, in the Miami 38, Washington 7 preseason victory for the Dolphins. Johnson is a good receiver, and that's why John wanted him in there.
Another first down for the Dolphins. Inside 5 minutes remaining in the first half. Nat Moore in motion. David Overstreet. Almost stays on his feet. It was Kenny Shroy up there from strong safety that tripped him up. And he falls forward for a gain of almost 3 to bring up second down and 7.
Frank, you called Gastineau a team player just a couple of minutes ago. He was all the way across the field in pursuit on that play.
I'll tell you, Mark is probably one of the better down linemen against the run, pursuing the ball. If he has a problem, he has a problem when they run the ball at him.
Right at him. I would venture to say he could outrun 50% of the running backs in the league at 6'5" and 265. Second down, we'll call it 7. Overstreet,
Case in point,
to the 20-yard line.
they hooked him easily. Case in point about Gastineau, they hooked him very easily on that play, and they were fortunate that Overstreet didn't get more yards out of that.
And they'll mark it just inside the 20-yard line. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 3. Jam-packed Orange Bowl. Great tribute to this team. Joe Robbie, the owner, started the season with, I think, 20 unsigned players. He's down to 1 now. That is only David Woodley playing out his option, or at least is in his option year. We got the players signed, and Shula has got them in the playoffs. That'll be an automatic first, a free down for Strock, and he goes to Joe Rose, who gets the first down yardage to the 15-yard line. It was movement, I believe Kenny Neal.
Kenny Neal was
right
the guy. You're right.
So the reception and the penalty will add up to about the same thing, and then it will be first down at 10, about the 15-yard line.
Well, he got hit. Give him the catch. That's what we used to do in Buffalo. He paid for it. Let him have it.
Old movement by Neal. I think Marty Lyons with him.
They didn't give him the catch.
They walk it off. First down and 10 Dolphins, 15-yard line. First down.
Oh, there's a lot of guys out there. They're thinking about contract time, and when you go in there for your contracts, it's the stats that you have to put in front of them, and you hate to see those receptions taken away from a guy.
That would have been Joe Rose's 30th for the season. Dolphins, of course, played 3 tight ends. Hardy had a big game against Atlanta a week ago. Rose and Johnson. You add up the receptions, they're right up there with the 6 tight ends in the league. Here comes Overstreet again and again. They do a number on Gastineau.
I mean, simply, it's not like they have to double team him. They're really not having much trouble getting outside of Gastineau, and I really don't understand a guy with his ability. He gets hooked somewhat easily.
And Overstreet is inside the 10-yard line, down around the 8-yard line. He'll get about 8 yards out of that.
And they feel they can work on him.
Got to teach him. Got to keep working him every day in practice from the very beginning of the preseason training campaign.
It's a matter of discipline. It's purely a matter
all
of discipline.
It is.
That's the time remaining here in the first half. The Dolphins leading 14-7. They're threatening. Timing pattern tries to get it to Duper. Incomplete. It'll bring up 3rd down and 3. Bobby Jackson back there playing it very well. He was inside position. Stock had to throw it over the outstretched hands of Duper, who only stands 5'9".
3rd down. It's funny, you have an athlete on the field as good as the Mark, and I don't want to pick him out. Normally, the only guys you can really leave alone are running backs. Everybody else have to work on that technique over and over and over, and I don't think it's more important anywhere on the field than in the offensive and defensive line.
Big play now for the Jets. 3rd down and 3. And the Dolphins are noted for getting it in once they get inside the 20. There's Jet movement. And also Dolphin movement. Now Strock is going to be sacked. Bob Grable. And Strock goes down all the way back at the 23-yard line. That'll bring out the field goal unit. There are no flags. You probably saw movement, but no flags were thrown.
Yeah, Strock at that time thought he was Theismann or Joe Montana. Tried a little reverse on him. He just didn't have the feet for it.
Anuria is not.
What's interesting is twice, and this is unusual for the Dolphins, they're in touchdown position. Once Ray picked the pass off, and now they're thrown back, and the best they can get is a field goal.
There's a 2-minute warning before they'll have an opportunity to put up a 39-yard field goal attempt. We'll be back with that action. But right now, a message from the National Football League. Announcement brought to you by one of the best who ever played this game, Sonny Jurgensen of the National Football League. Hall of Famer, deservedly so. He had fun on the field and off. 39-yard field goal attempt. Dolphins leading 14-7. Don Chalman, I told you about the sore leg that kept him from practicing during the week. Don Strock will place it down. Kuchenberg is a snapper. Clock. And the Jets will get it back. When it looked like the Dolphins might go 14 up, the Jets get it back with 1:55 remaining in the half.
That was one of the more casual block field goal attempts you'll ever see.
He didn't pick it up.
Watch Jerry Holmes, how casual he is about...
he didn't get the ball up.
Oh, he didn't get it
a
up.
bad lay. He did not even start that ball up. He kicked Dwight Stevenson right where it was smart, or rather Kuchenberg. I think he hit the center.
So Von Schaman, usually that's a chippy.
Look at it, Ed Newman here, right in the back. We'll see...
A little late placement, but again, a weak effort. First down and 10, Todd is back. Out of the backfield is Kenny Lewis, and Kenny Lewis upended out over the 35-yard line. Judson coming up from the cornerback, but there's a pickup of 7.
I'm amazed that the Jets are only 7 down because Miami, usually, as I noted earlier, is very opportunistic getting the ball in.
Hey, they better not take that kind of a tactic with the Raiders. A little more finesse would work a little better. 1:47 remaining in the game. Jets have 3 timeouts, and the Dolphins have 3 timeouts. Quick snap by Todd. Trying to buy a little time. He doesn't buy enough, but down he goes. It is Bob Baumauer, his second sack of the night. What the Jets might be doing, they're thinking too much about Doug Betters, and they've got to worry about Bob Baumauer. That's his 7th sack of the year.
Probably the best nose defensive lineman in the league.
And the same size for it. He's 6'5". They're usually very squatty. 3rd down and 9. Todd Schiller, short of the first down. He was up close to it, but he stepped back, and they mark it at the 37, where it'll be 4th down.
I know what you're thinking, Howard, and you're right. Because he didn't run a slant pattern. He ran a hook pattern, so he did run the pattern short. When you run a slant pattern...
Not only that, but as Frank noted in his call, he moved back.
Here's Ramsey
after catching the ball.
And Clayton is dropped now for the Dolphins. Dangerous return man, this rookie from Louisville, who had such a great career there as a pass receiver. Inside 1 minute remaining. And depending upon where this ball winds up, it'll probably determine what the Dolphins plan to do. They have 3 timeouts remaining. Clayton called for and makes the catch at the 20-yard line with 36 seconds remaining in the half. A 43-yard punt by Chuck Ramsey. Coming up tomorrow, Wide World of Sports. You'll see it at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock Central Time. WBA World Bantamweight Championship. Jeff Chandler against Oscar Nunez, live from Atlantic City, New Jersey. They fought once before in a non-title bout in July, and Nunez, the unknown challenger, won a 10-round split decision, giving Chandler his only professional loss. And you'll see that rematch again right here on ABC. They meet for the Bantamweight Championship of the world, and of course, the beauty and the grace of the World Rhythmic Gymnastics Championships from France. Wide World of Sports tomorrow right here on ABC. Reminder at halftime, in-depth chat with Don Shula, and a look at the possibilities and are endless still in the NFL as to playoff possibilities. First down and 10 to Dolphins near their own 20-yard line. I think we know pretty much what they are going to do. Andre Franklin over the left side, about 6 yards. And now Strock wants to call timeout with 26 seconds remaining here in the first half. It'll give us an opportunity to show you how we do some of the fancy things we do. I don't really understand it, but I know some of the names of it. You know, when we see all those little numbers and names come on the bottom of the screen, well, this is the computer room. Guys are given the names and numbers. They type it into the computer. Then it goes into what we call a character generator, or character generators. And that comes up on the screen. Meanwhile, in our truck where our director and producer are sitting, our technical director is there. And these are still the names and numbers being typed into the character generator. Now, here's our truck. Now, our TD tonight, Joe Chavo, just reaches forward, pushes one button when our producer, Bob Goodrich, or our director, Jim Jeanette, tells him to do so. And boom, You get it on the air like that.
And if it comes up wrong, you got to blame Goodrich or the director, Jim Jack, for telling Joey to push the wrong button.
It is fascinating, isn't it? Remember, they have to roll the tape backwards all the time, and they had to edit the magnifying glass technology, and you'll see so much of it in new use in the Olympics coming up, the Winter Olympics in February, and of course the Summer Olympics. Just unbelievable what's transpired in this business.
I'm covering up for Joey Shabo. He's never made a mistake in his life. Once he thought he did, but he was wrong.
Well, then we can talk about it. They've got a 2nd down and 4 for the Dolphins. They're down to 2 timeouts, 26 seconds remaining in the half, and they lead the Jets 14-7. Overstreet, and he'll have the first down, and Slock will use another timeout. Mark Gastineau left off and defensive left end to make the stop, and he draws some resounding boos, and now the Dolphins got down to 1 timeout.
It's funny, I was thinking on the previous play with so little time left before the half, why they didn't get the ball to a game breaker like Overstreet. But they just tried a little inside trap there, and if Overstreet could have got by the linebackers, it would have been interesting.
I think if they're thinking in terms of putting more points on the board, that maybe they'd be throwing something like the Big Ben, try and get the defensive penalty, and of course the half of the game cannot end on a defensive call.
Let's pull a little gimmick play. Okay,
A.J. Dewey there. Yeah.
Let's pull a little gimmick play. Let's use the old forward lateral that was so
Remember the play in San Diego in the playoffs? They fired it out to the receiver, and he made the lateral off. I forgot who it was.
Exactly. Tony Nathan.
I tell you, Dallas used to run that play real well. He used to throw it to Preston Pearson all the time.
Who was the receiver on that play? I think it was Nat Moore.
Nat Moore.
Stock hit Nat Moore on a little turn in right before the half. He flipped it out to Tony Nathan.
Funny, we saw A.J. Dewey a second ago. He's been curiously quiet.
The Jets have had no offense at all this period.
Now we got Mark Duper. He's the speed for the Dolphins. He's flipped to Stock's left. Top of your screen is Matt Moore. Whoa! And Lance Snell again could have had an interception, and he might have got 6 points out of it.
The boy is not meant for greatness. That's twice he could have broken out, tied or broken NFL record.
He could have tied the NFL.
Stopped the ball. You tied the record. He could have tied it and broke it tonight.
I'll tell you what.
Interceptions by a linebacker.
Well, he's not happy about it, and I feel badly for him because this is a quality player.
Yep.
There are a lot of coaches in this league. Linebackers who blitz usually get the most attention. A good example, Lawrence Taylor, a truly great player. But
Lance Mill.
But no, a lot of coaches look for a man's maintenance of position, his ability to be around the football. Mel is one of those who can do it.
On 2nd and 10, draw play, Overstreet. Sprinting to stop the clock, which he does with 7 seconds remaining.
Maintenance of position, coach.
That's right.
You know what?
All right, you know who adheres to that theory? Most your old coach, John McKay. He says this is what makes you green, a truly great linebacker. He said if I want a linebacker to blitz, then I'll use him as a down lineman. That's not what I want linebackers for. Now that's just McKay's theory.
Well, McKay and the Jets could use a linebacker to do something other than they did do it.
They both use a little more maintenance. They're down and 3. 7 seconds remaining in the half.
Got a point there.
Overstreet.
Now, if you look on the ground,
and that's it for the first half. And the Dolphins could have had much more, but they don't. And they lead the Jets only by 7. We'll be back with our halftime highlights.
The look of a winner, Don Shula has it. And he says the secret to his success as a head coach is being totally aware of what's happening on and off the field. That's helped him reach 5 Super Bowls, including one magic undefeated season of 17-0. Don Shula is more than just a good football coach. In fact, he is one of the elite coaches in the National Football League. His record is well known, and it certainly is proven all over the walls of his office here in Miami with all these plaques. But what is not well known is that Don Shula wanted to be a winner since he was a kid. Don, what were you like as a child?
As a hard loser, a tough loser. It started in card games around the house with the grandparents and the parents, and it went from there to pick up games
in the playground, and I never liked to be on the losing end. And I was a sore loser or a tough loser. And I think that that's helped me become a winner, hating defeat, hating failure. By the same token, I've been exposed to failure as a player and as a coach. And I don't dwell on failure. When it's over with, when I've cried my eyes out, I somehow then try to go back and pick up some things that happened in a negative experience and hope that they'll help me the next time I have the opportunity to compete.
One failure that's remained with Shula, the Super Bowl loss to the Jets in 1969. Shula's Baltimore Colts were heavily favored, but were upset 16-7 by Joe Namath and the Jets. It was a shock that eventually forced Shula to leave Baltimore for Miami.
At the time, when the game was over, it was just getting beat. But as things built up over a period of a week or 2 weeks or a month after the first team in the National Football League to lose to a team in the new league, that became tougher and tougher to live with. And it eventually came to the end of a relationship between Carol Rosenblum, who was the owner of the team at that time, and myself.
Life in the NFL began for Shula in 1951 with the Cleveland Browns. A defensive back number 96, Shula wasn't physically overpowering, but he was smart, an intense worker, and had that enormous desire to win. Those are qualities that trademark Shula coach teams to this day. Traded to Baltimore and finally Washington, Shula never stopped working on the mental side of the game.
I think as a player, I always wanted to know what was happening around me. I wanted to be aware of what other people were doing and what the overall philosophy of the offense. I used to drive the coaches nuts. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? How is it going to work here? And they'd just appease me and answer me and then try to get me out of there and go about their business. But I was always trying to be aware of the entire situation. And I think that has helped me going from a player to a coach, because as a coach now you're responsible for the entire situation. You've got to know why you're doing it. You have to know the underlying philosophy.
Shula understands his players and how to use their talents, and they understand him. For anyone who meets him comes away with the same feeling, that what you see is what you get. He's an honest, totally straightforward man, and his players trust him because of that.
The important thing is credibility and communication, I think, in coaching. If I had to pick out the two most important things in coaching and leadership, I would pick out credibility. You have to have credibility with the people that you're responsible for. The minute that they doubt what you stand for or what you're saying, you lose credibility. You're not going to be able to lead if you lose credibility. And then communication is the next most important thing, or maybe just as important. You always have to have dialogue. You have to have communication. You have to listen. You have to be able to pick up new ideas. And you always leave the door open. My door is open for the players to walk in here at any time. And they can sit down here and discuss things. They might not like what I say to them, but they always are going to have the opportunity to walk in that door and face me and find out what I'm thinking and why I'm thinking that.
The numbers to Richard Todd in the first half. And the numbers for Don Strock really are not that much better. Don Strock 11 of 20, 110 yards. A couple of touchdowns, however. And one interception for Strock, and there is Dan Marino, unable to play. Damaged that knee a couple of weeks ago, but he's moving around, and he should be available for the playoff activities.
You know, Howard, listening to you discuss the playoff possibilities, I couldn't help but wonder who's on third.
Buffalo right at the moment.
Yeah.
Buffalo needs a tie. They need somebody to tie. Kirk Springs is deep along with Preston Brown as we begin the second half. 14-7, the Dolphins over the Jets. So this will be Preston Brown from the 5. Looking to get outside, and he does, but he's hammered at the 21-yard line. We'll take a look at the numbers, the first quarter, and then we'll fold them over and show you the halftime. All right, as we noted earlier in the first quarter, stats were relatively equal. 2-minute possession edge for Miami and a close ball game. But by halftime, an impressive edge for Miami in first downs, in rushing yards, in total yards. Turnovers equal, but an impressive edge for Miami in possession
possession times 2. Frank. We open with the same personnel as we did the game. Todd, a quarterback. McNeil and Durking are the setbacks. Todd fires out. Schuler gets the gain of 5 out over the 25 to the 26-yard line. Lyle Blackwood takes him out of bounds. It'll be 2nd down and 5.
We have yet to see a ball even thrown to Wesley Walker tonight.
I was just thinking that, Howard. I was just thinking Wesley must feel a little like I felt when I first came into the league, running clear-out pattern so that the tight ends can run underneath him.
That's what he just did.
Yes.
Jones split to the left. The 2 tight ends are in. Walker's been out of the game much of the first half as the Jetsons on with the 2 tight end offense. Here is McNeil. Gain of a couple that'll bring up 3rd down and 3.
Tried to snake his way in his fashion, but no place to snake.
Well, I mentioned when the Jets played New Orleans, the Jets this year seem to be an offense that they really don't have a personality. You know, they're bread and butter play. Some teams say, well, we're going to run off tackle. That's what we do best, and that's what we're going to go to when times get tough. And they seem to be a team that's in a little disarray offensively, philosophy-wise.
3rd down and 3. This is Todd. This is Kenny Lewis, and he doesn't handle the ball. That's incomplete. The Jets will be forced to punt. Kenny Lewis was thinking 1st down before he had his hands on it. And that will bring out Chuck Ramsey for the punt. And we'll watch Mark Clayton drop for the Dolphins.
Pretty depressing for Todd.
And a depressing season for this man, former teammate of mine, Joe Walton. Told by everyone he was going to go to the Super Bowl this year. He's trying to be 500 tonight. Ramsey gets one to turn over. It's high, and Clayton does not make the fair catch call at the 30-yard line, and he's hit hard by Davlin Mullen. A 41-yard punt by Chuck Ramsey, but nevertheless, the Dolphins have the ball at their own 30-yard line for their first possession here in the second half. And we'll see Don Strock coming out. We told you his numbers. He was 11 of 20, 110 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and an interception. He calls his own plays, by the way. And I mentioned that earlier. Don Shula says he's the most knowledgeable quarterback he's ever had. And he did not exclude Bob Greasy from that.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. 1st and 10. The Dolphins, their 30-yard line. Strock is back. Dumps it to the tight end, Dan Johnson, and Johnson has yardage for a 1st down. Lance Snell and Bob Crable defensively there, and the crowd thought they were a little aggressive, but the crowd is really stoked up tonight.
Nice throw right over the middle.
He had him in mind all the way, too. He was not looking left or right.
Snell is limping. They were going to send in a replacement, but no.
They had Ron Crosby ready, but Snell stays in the lineup. Johnson got the 1st down at the 41. Franklin, Gastineau this time, fended off the block and forced Franklin very wide, and Franklin just did get to the line of scrimmage. Now we get the specialty changes. A couple of extra defensive backs for the Jets. And we'll see some offensive changes for the Dolphins. We'll see Woody Bennett. I think for the first time they've had him at 34. He's in there with Tony Nathan.
That's an interesting graphic. Dolphins winning every game this year, which they've led at half. And the Jets.
2nd down and 10. Nathan thought about cutting back. He might have got a lot more out of it had he been able to do that when he saw it, but he doesn't. He's a little late with it. He only gets 3. It'll be 3rd down and 7.
Well, Dandy Don pointed out a few weeks ago, he who hesitates is lost really applies to the running back, and he hesitated a little that time. And
still, he spun away from Ben Rudolph for an extra 2 or 3 yards.
Need a 10, though. So they have another shot.
3rd and 6.
Ball at their own 44-yard line. So Stock will work from the shotgun.
too good there on third down.
Rock.
Not getting any better.
Fires one to Joe Rose. Throws it behind him, and that ball also had a lot of heat on it. That'll bring up fourth down. So the Dolphins will have to punt. Rock, who hadn't played really since last year, was a holdout all during training camp, signed the day the season began this year, and came in last week and did such a marvelous job against Atlanta. So they've had troubles with the Jets defense tonight.
They've always had one like him. Earl Morrill did the job for him off the bench and for them off the bench.
Roby, another powering punt, and this crowd loves it. This time it carries into the end zone. Oh, wow.
I do believe that was higher than the Orange Bowl.
55-yard punt. Nevertheless, it's a touchback, and the Jets will have it at their own
I do
20.
believe.
Well, the linebacker for the Jets limping a while ago, and now he's having a little ice applied to his right ankle.
The number one curse from a player who's not going to the playoff is to get hurt in the last game of the season.
First down and 10, the Jets. They trail 14-7, the Miami Dolphins. Freeman McNeil. Reckless running out of the 25-yard line for a gain of 6.
He ran the ball on that play, unlike the Jets have been playing all year. They played like that.
Well, the Jets, Onsparger has totally choked off the Jets offense. He did it in their first game this year. He did it in the playoff game last year. And it's as if Onsparger knows what the Jets are going to do before they even do it.
Well, Arnsberg has done that to a lot of teams, Howard.
Jets have got themselves a real problem now. Bingham, who had been in for Joe Fields, their fine center, has been out for 4 weeks.
God, Bingham.
He is out. Pellegrini comes in. Pellegrini playing center. He's not familiar with that spot. 2nd and 4. Durking. And Durking, good extra effort. He's up close to a first down. Over the 30.
They finally got one. A first down.
Joe Fields has missed the last 3 games, so he's also missing tonight with a sprained foot. And they had been using Guy Bingham there, who's doing a creditable job. McElroy had moved to left guard, so they've had to do some shuffling in the lineup now with Bingham going to the sideline. First down and 10, the Jets. To Todd, looking for Walker, and a little more, and it would have been 6. William Judson was there.
Finally, we saw a throw to Walker. Judson apparently tipped it. Didn't you think, Frank?
I think he might have. Richard had to hurry it for one thing. He was under pressure as he's been all night.
Now, that was a good deep throw under terrible pressure.
And it was a fine play action pass. Judson
he got it.
Yeah,
Ball could have been a little further out. I mean,
Judson has turned into a superb defensive back. Into tonight with 6 interceptions. Picked off 3 in the Jets' first game, and that was when he really came to the fore. But their regular starter has been out for the season, Don McNeil, over at that left cornerback with a knee injury training camp. We got a second down and 10. Freeman McNeil. McNeil tried to hurdle by Glenn Blackwood. He does not do so. And that will bring up third down. We're going to pause 5 seconds to allow our stations to identify themselves.
Channel 10, WPLG TV Miami.
Hope you're enjoying tonight's game. The Miami Dolphins want the home field advantage. They won over 80% of the games that they have played over 14 years here. They'd like to play all of them. They could do so if they win tonight. And should the Raiders lose to the Chargers on Sunday, they would be home field throughout the entire playoffs. But they can guarantee themselves at least the divisional playoffs with a win tonight. Third down and 4. Kenny Lewis. This time, Lewis holds on and gets the first down, lowers his head, booms up to the 44-yard line before Ernie Roan drops him there. First down, Jets.
Well, I tell you, someone must have given this Jet offense a pep talk on the sideline because they are playing pretty fired up ball right now. They're showing a little
Well, they've got 2 first downs, which is more than consecutively, which is more than they were able to do in the entire second quarter.
But if you watch them play, they look like they're for the first time tonight, they're just going after people. And hey, somebody must have said something, right? They lit a fire under them or something. They look fired up.
First down and 10, the Jets at their 44-yard line. taken by Richard Todd. Trying to get it to Freeman McNeil. Kozlowski is angry with himself. The flag comes down now as Flecko moved out there to have a word, or rather it was Big Marvin Powell and Kozlowski.
Well, Todd sort of looked up there. That was a ball that shouldn't have been thrown, at least to this person, as you can see. He's got plenty of time. And no one's open.
Pass defense against Kozlowski. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Crawling all over him. So the Jets get another first down at the 48-yard line, their own 48. Richard again went to the man with the double coverage. He had the tight end downfield, who was hooked up. Crowd not liking that call. Then play action. Todd going for Schuler. And off his fingertips.
Well, normally when you run that pattern, they want you to run about a yard or two from the sideline, and Schuler was a little more on the field, and Todd hung it up about a yard from the sideline, so it's tough to tell from here if Schuler ran the proper pattern or the ball was just too far outside.
Juice. This is what we were talking about before. In his last 3 games against Miami, look at Wesley Walker. 2 receptions for 9 yards. So the Dolphins have put the lid on Walker.
Freeman McNeil. And McNeil running like a William Andrews on that one, and he's to the 45-yard line. He gets 8 out of that. It'll bring up third down and 3.
Hey, they've been sleepwalking around here, and someone must have said, hey, look, we've done nothing up to now, and we're in the game. Because these guys are fired up. They want to score here.
I'm just looking at Flecko's neck, and next to him, Joe Fields.
He was last year's Pro Bowl center. They've lost him now for 4 weeks, and we understand that Bingham with the sprained knee will not be back tonight. So Pellegrini will work at center.
Next does not win games for you.
Joe Flecko's neck can win games for you.
Oh, this year it hasn't. Well, it's won some. We'll find in the season.
3rd and 3.
All right.
Underneath, and Kenny Lewis holds on. And Lewis down to the 22-yard line in the arms of Lyle Blackwood. The Jets started at the 20.
4 first downs in a row, 1 on a penalty. The best sustained offense by the Jets tonight.
7:55.
I tell you,
remaining in the third quarter.
See Lewis, he loops over the middle, little delay, wide open, fumble the ball a little bit. Pretty good move there.
I'll tell you, McNeil's running has been a very important part of this drive. Don't forget it.
They're blocking up front.
22-yard line, first down. Top of the screen is Lamb Jones. Wesley Walker's to the right. Now they work themselves back on the same side. That to be a concern with the problems they've had at centers. And Richard Todd gets back on it.
Lucky to recover it. But with Pellegrini in there, it was overdue.
A little earlier, you might have noticed it. I didn't get a chance to mention it, but Pellegrini was late on a snap. And that's tough on your offensive line, but you can understand it.
Let's take a look here. It's really difficult to tell whose fault it is. You never did have control of the ball.
It's tough to break in center when they're playing an odd man line. They play a big bomb out right over Pellegrini's nose.
Even if you're from Harvard.
Yeah. Second down and 11, it was a loss of 1.
Got him.
Todd, man, is wide open, and it is Schuler once again. And Schuler down to the 5-yard line. It'll be first down, goal to go. And the Jets have come out fired up here in the second half.
It's the best drive they've engineered against Miami in their last 3 games, which includes this game.
But there's a tough guy, Schuler. Well, he got hit a couple of shots in the first half. We didn't think he was going to be back. And he's going to spark on this drive. First and goal. Walker's foot left. And now Lamb Jones will move into the slot up at the top of your screen. Freeman McNeil, that's the pass, touchdown.
Good call.
Goes to Marion Barber.
That's what they did in the playoffs last year.
Dwayne Barber coming out of the backfield as though he were going to lead the sweep for McNeil. Stepped in behind the defensive unit that was coming up to turn the sweep inside. He was wide open.
So suddenly, from nowhere, the Jets have come alive.
Very nice pass.
First pass for Freeman in a regular season game, but as noted, he pulled the same play for a TD in the playoffs last year.
Bingham a snap. Ryan is the holder. A little late. And Ryan may be able to get it in. No?
Yes.
Yes. A great effort.
What an effort.
Now the holder, that ball was snapped really high. It was Pellegrini. He was forced to snap. I misled you when I said Bingham. Of course, he's out of the lineup. But Pellegrini, I'm sure, is not snapped on a punt or a place kick. And he was rather obvious as he put it up high. Ryan knew that he couldn't get it down. It would have been a block and a super effort by Pat Ryan.
So we got a ball game.
Yes, we do. Ryan surprised me. He has this much speed. I had an opportunity to watch him play last week.
He wanted to throw it, but there was no people downfield. They were all blocking. Ryan gets his first NFL point. And it ties the game at 14. 6:44 remaining in the third quarter. Pellegrini, OJ, is taking a primary course of snapping.
That's Jim Ringo there teaching him. Taught the electric company. I want to congratulate all those guys. It's been 10 years and we're still hanging in there. Fellas.
Leahy booms it away. Holden Walker is deep. He'll keep it in the end zone for the touchback, and the Dolphins will work from their 20-yard line. There's Barber. Came out of the backfield and got the touchdown. And Freeman McNeil, we'll be right back. Stay about forward is Crew. They're sucking up the oranges and the grapefruit here at the jam-packed Orange Bowl. Meanwhile, live action. The Dolphins now tied at 14, 6:37 remaining in the third quarter. First and 10 from their own 20-yard line. Strock is back.
Got him.
Beautiful throw to out of the backfield. David Overstreet running a good pattern to Strock. He's the right end between two Jet defenders. And more than that, he had to wait for the final second for Overstreet to uncover.
But he had the protection.
We'll see from the end zone as a play-action pass. Overstreet just ran out of the backfield, outran the linebacker, and he's serving notice. I'm telling you, if this kid can play throughout the playoffs the way he's played tonight, the Dolphins will be tough.
You're right about
anyway.
that. Right between Woodring and Jackson. But what beautiful protection for Strock.
First down is at the 40-yard line of the Dolphins. Strock.
That was
Almost hit. Gastineau reaching around.
Almost had his 20th sack. Got a tough night tonight against the run, but he's been putting a lot of pressure on him on the passes. Here he goes.
Working against Laxo, a good blocker.
Just not strong enough, Laxo, on that play.
That'll bring up second down and 10. Stock now 13 to 24, 141 yards, one interception, a pair of touchdowns. Jets going blitz, and then they drop out of it. Tony Nathan. And Nathan with about an 8-yard pickup. Great up to the 48-yard line. And there is a Jet that is slow getting up. Kenny Roy, I believe. Coming up defensively, and he is slow getting up right in front of the bench row.
Overstreet gives you that impression that he can go all the way every time he has the ball. He was floating there. He wasn't running hard, looking for a place to go. Was that Nathan?
Yes.
Oh, honestly.
They'll be working on Kenny Roy. When we come back, it'll be third down and 2 from Miami. Continue to work on Kenny Troy on the sideline. They're going to give him a little extra tape. Of course, all the players required to tape their ankles before each game, but they're going to give Kenny Troy a little extra effort. Now Kirk Springs has come in from Troy, and the Jet defense is looking at the Dolphins facing a third down and 2. Hardy in motion. Nathan. Good, strong running. First down, just inside Jet territory. John Woodring defensively there for the Jets.
He made the execution, but Crable slowed up Nathan, did a good job on it.
Well, they needed to, and they got it. So it was a successful play.
Yeah, that's a good combination they have going now. Tony Nathan, Don Shula knows full well what he can do. He had a great year in 81, injured much of last year. He's had a great season this year. Over 50 receptions, over 650 yards rushing. And now they have Overstreet to go with that into the playoffs. On first down, and Strock will go down. That will be a sack. And the sack will go to Marty Lyons. Whistle had blown, even as Strock tried to deliver the ball. Jets playing the Dolphins tough tonight. The Jets playing for nothing but personal pride, and as I said, this is the beginning of next year. They're also trying to have an 8-8 season. The Dolphins is much more important. Home field advantage. And they can assure themselves of the divisional playoff game with home field advantage with a win tonight. And they could, with an upset by the Chargers over the Raiders on Sunday, they could have the home field advantage with a win tonight right through the playoffs. Second down, 16. Nathan. Oh, good running by Nathan. He's up to the Jets' 40-yard line, short of the first down, but only by about a foot. 15-yard pickup. Kirk Springs made the saving tackle.
Yes, and if Super Duper would have went after someone, he had a chance of breaking that when he wanted to cut back, but Duper was in his way, and the corner was right behind Duper. He had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
And in the flip to Nathan, the ball appeared to be unsurely handled. That was the interesting part of the play.
I think it was a snap from center. He didn't have it. He didn't have control of the ball.
I mentioned that 81 season of Nathan when he had nearly 800 yards rushing and 50 receptions. He's up close to that again this year.
Yeah, when you average 4.5 yards a carry,
he's got all you need is the ball. Yes. Third down, 1. Woody Bennett. Oh. He won't get it. No, he didn't get it. Good defensive surge there. And now decision time for Don Shula. I would think he'd go for it.
In most cases, I'd criticize. I hear guys say square their shoulders to the line of scrimmage. Now, but that was the case where Bennett should have turned his shoulders upfield and tried to go, upfield and get the first down. He was going towards the sidelines when he was hit.
And on fourth down, less than a yard, you saw our referee, Gene Barth, indicating how much, about a foot, maybe a little more. The Dolphins will go. Kenny Schroy back in the lineup for the Jets. The strong safety. And working on Kirk Springs.
You saw fourth down plays turn the tide of that Dallas-Washington game last week.
Woody Bennett stays in. Who's the big man as they line up in the I formation. Now they get into a pro set short yardage. Nathan, first down, almost popped it. To the 37-yard line, first down Dolphins. They don't make many mistakes.
So one of the reasons Ed Newman is going to the Pro Bowl on that play.
He does get out there, doesn't he?
At one point, I thought he was offside. He was really coming out of there. It's like he moved. Well, he didn't look as if he moved early. He just had a jump out there. He was flying.
Nathan, 41 yards. Tough yards they've been on 8 carries. Overstreet now into the lineup again once again. Doc has everyone in the pattern, and that ball batted away by Woodring. They'll bring up second down and 10.
Been away lucky on that. Woodring was in an intercept position.
Yes, he was. Strock has had 3 of them now that could have been picked off. 2 by Mel and the 1 there by Woodring. Set linebackers, Mel and Woodring and Crable playing in good games tonight.
Yeah, I know Mel. I hope he gets an opportunity at another interception because he's going to spend the whole offseason thinking about the 2 he didn't get
the rest of his life. He could have broken an NFL record for interceptions by a linebacker tonight. Had his hands on 2 of them. Blitz for Strock. He reads it, fires to Johnson. Flag is down as Johnson gets about 6. Troy made the stop. Flag on the play. Jets were in a full blitz. And they were a little early.
He mistakes.
There's a gain of about 6, so the penalty will keep the down a first down. If you look at what's coming your way tomorrow here in college football, I'm sure they'll take the penalty. Western Carolina 11-2, Southern Illinois 11-1. The Division I AA championship, you'll see it right here, 1:30 tomorrow afternoon.
Wind up in the neutral zone. Still second down.
This game appears to be becoming a game that is personal. You know, nobody's going anywhere. I mean, Miami has a chance maybe to get the home field advantage, but I don't think anybody out there now is thinking about the playoffs, the home field advantage, or going home. This game has become personal. You guys are going after each other.
Not just a chance. They can get it with a win tonight, at least through the divisional playoffs. I think it's important to them, O.J. 2nd and 5. Down goes Sock. And this time, the sack is by number 78. That's Barry Bennett from the Vikings and New Orleans Saint, who came last year to the Jets.
Well, we saw a nice thing there. As I said, I didn't mean to intimate that it wasn't important to Miami. It's just that the Jets seem to be taking this game seriously now. These guys are out here playing hard ball.
They're playing with spirit, with motivation, a fire they haven't shown during much of the season.
I think, frankly, they've been embarrassed. They really have. Everybody told them how good they were at the beginning of the year, and everybody said they had going to the Super Bowl, and maybe they just weren't that good. But in whatever event, they could just been embarrassed by the season. 3rd down and 14. Scott. Nathan gets a bunch of it back inside the 35-yard line. And we'll see Uwe von Schamann, who is kicking with a very sore leg.
And he showed it the last time he tried a field goal.
Certainly did. He didn't get it more than 2 or 3 feet off the ground. That was a 39-yard effort. And this will be about a 49-yard effort.
When the Dolphins won 32-14, Marino wasn't in there, was he, Frank?
Yes, he was. That was a big game for him.
Well, was that the difference then?
49-yard attempt. Plenty of distance and plenty of accuracy. So Von Schamann comes through, breaks the tie, puts the Dolphins on top 17-14. 49-yard field goal. They love it here in Dolphin land. We'll be back in a moment. Dan Marino, leading the AFC, ended the night in passing. Elected to the Pro Bowl as the starting quarterback. No rookie has ever been in that position since the Pro Bowl began in 1950.
Could mean a Super Bowl for this team.
1 minute and 12 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. Von Schamann punches one. Gets a lot of distance. Carries Preston Brown deep into the end zone where Brown takes the touchback.
Before the game, in my talk with Bill Onsbarger, I noted his success against the Jets. I asked him about that very thing.
It's about time, because there was a few years before that we weren't that successful. I remember one game we went down in the last play of the game. They were able to beat our coverage and win. So it's about time it's turned around, and I hope it continues to turn around. But I always enjoy playing against the Jets because they give you a lot of problems. I think Coach Walton has done a good job in conceiving their offense. They've had some problems, but they still give you a lot of problems when you look at it like I do defensively and attacking the Jet offense.
And Bill Onsbarger's A.J. Due attacked it rather well. He makes the stop for a loss of about 3 yards on Freeman McNeil.
One of the few times we heard from A.J. tonight.
Interesting observation, Juice. Yes. He has not been the factor in this ball game. He was in the playoff game last year or anything like it. Not up to this point.
Well, they had him lined up in the inside backer, and he had his man on coverage. Did a good job.
Came up as a rookie. Was he a first-round draft pick? And his co-rookie of the year as a defensive end. And Onsbarger, who always moving people around, moved into linebacker a couple of years ago. 2nd down, 14. McNeil in a lot of trouble. Down goes McNeil, and Butzinski was the defensive man. No, this is Kim Bocamper. Ken Bokamper making the stop.
Now the Dolphins appear to be the ones getting fired up. This is a big series because they can wind up again with field position. But down to 35 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
Well, many in the past, many of the Dolphins' big offensive explosions have come off the defense playing inspired ball.
Ooh, so
they normally started for him.
Third down, long yardage for Richard Todd. Quick snap. Keep it on the ground. Kenny Lewis.
Oh, nice move.
Ooh, and Lewis hurdling over the top. Gets pasted at the very height of his hurdle.
That was a back jumping, not thinking about running. He didn't think he'd come down running. He was leaning back when he jumped.
Final seconds ticking off here in the third quarter. And the Dolphins have a 17-14 lead. We'll be back in the Orange Bowl after this message from our station. Richard Todd's numbers, first, second, and third downs. Meanwhile, the Jets are faced with a fourth down. Ramsey is on. Mark Clayton is dropped for the Dolphins. They could get good field position out of that. Clayton has positioned himself at his own 38-yard line. Ramsey puts it up high. Fair catch called for and executed at the 39 by Clayton. Lyle Blackwood is taken from the field, by the way. The safety for the Dolphins. He is going to have an ankle x-ray. We'd like to remind you once again, Monday night, City by the Bay, Dallas and San Francisco. Dallas, of course, will be watching the Giants and the Redskins tomorrow. Giants taking it to the Redskins in the nation's capital.
Hey, Howard, anything can happen in that game. I recall when the Redskins went to the Super Bowl in '72, the Bills had won 3 games. The last game of the season, we went into Washington and we beat them. So anything can happen.
How many yards rushing do you have? 300?
No, not quite that many.
First and 10, the Dolphins. They lead by 3 as we begin the fourth quarter.
I'm listening.
Doc under pressure, but he gets it to Johnson, the tight end. Gain of 7 out of the 45 to the 47.
I was interested in the Jets' last call on third down before the punt. Inside their own 20, 7-8 season. And in a couple of hours, they'll be winging homeward, the season over. And they were playing to keep the game close. They called
I would have thrown it. I agree with you, Howard. I think I would have thrown it, but hey. We're up here.
Second down and 3. Franklin. Oh, a little opening. Knew what he needed for the first down. He gets it at midfield.
Lovely cutback.
It was a Franco Harris run. That's the way Franco does it.
Lovely cutback. All right, let's look at the stats beginning with halftime. That's when the Dolphins had taken a pronounced edge, as you can readily witness, and had the ball about twice the time the Jets had the ball. And in the third quarter, when the Jets began to put things together, total yardage narrowed measurably. Passing yardage, the edge went to the Jets. Miami still much better on the ground, and 8 minutes more possession time, or thereabouts.
First and 10, the Dolphins at the 49-yard line of the Jets. Richard Todd into the night, 24 interceptions. Only Lynn Dickey of the Packers had more through 15 games. Franklin. Lance Bell was there first.
You know, Howard, as I sit here and think about that last call, last time the Jets had the ball, hey, the coach is playing like it's a regular game, and he's not playing like that going home. So maybe he did do the right thing. The score is 17-14, so now that I think about it, he may be playing, seriously, he may be playing like it's a regular game.
I'll tell you, those are meaningful discussions. A lot of it in football, college, and pro, and kind of show business, but not with Bill Arnsparger. This is a very serious man, and those folks pay attention to him. Second down, long yardage, almost 10. Franklin got maybe a half a yard.
I tried, Howard.
Doc, Cooper, and Cooper goes over 1,000 yards for the Dolphins.
All right, super duper.
First time they've ever had a receiver to do so, and now a flag is thrown at Jerry Holmes and Cooper.
Oh, that's just plain stupid.
Yeah, don't do it now.
No.
Man just went over 1,000 yards.
From what I saw, Jerry Holmes was the miscreant there, and just plain unnecessary.
But he threw the punch. That's what the officials see. It was Duper that threw the punch. I just hope they let him calm down and let the kid stay in the game. It's quite a night for him, and not to get kicked out of the game the night after you break.
They were into it the previous play. They almost squared off in the previous play.
You throw a punch at a helmet. I got in one fight against a guy named Mel Lungsford. I jumped up, threw a punch at him, and the punch was already thrown. Yeah, the punch was already thrown when I realized he was 260 pounds.
Yeah, I was about to say, if it was Mel Lunsford with the Patriots,
a little late before
you've got a mismatch.
With unnecessary roughness, offsetting foul. 85 defense, 47 offense. First down from the dead ball spot. First down. Yeah, you can just reverse that.
Yes, it was 85 offense and
Duper on the
47
night,
defense.
4 receptions, 72 yards. He's over 1,000 for the season, a new Dolphin record. And watch for yourself who was the instigator.
I tell you, it's a credit to the players in the league. They voted this kid to the Pro Bowl. There's so many big-name receivers around the league, and people like Rod Martin and Duper, the new guys, they get a chance.
Got him, Cowboy. First down and 10. The Dolphins. They're at the 33-yard line of the Jets. Franklin spinning and twisting and getting additional yardage to the 30-yard line. He'll get 3 out of that.
Good more tackling there.
Yep, he got amazing yardage out of that.
Hasn't had the year he had last year. He's been a little hurt. He's been running. He says his shoulders hasn't. He's had a couple of shoulder injuries, and they haven't really bothered him that much. It was the thought of the injuries that's been holding him back. But
he got it in the New Orleans game, and he hurt both shoulders in the same play.
Rounding up, he's coming in thick at the right time of the year, though. It's playoff time.
There he is, Andrew Franklin. He was a really surprise. They got him in the second round out of Nebraska a couple of years ago, and he was basically a blocking back there. He's had 3 great years. Second down and 7. Whistle is blown. Duper and Troy facing each other once again.
Saw Duper drop the ball. It's funny. I recall back those 10 years ago. Right after
a 5-yard penalty for delay now against Miami.
Right after that, well, here we go.
Delay of game, number 10 offense.
Right after I broke the record, the next carry I fumbled the ball. Saw Duper. Seeing Duper drop that ball reminded me of it.
And he's got it tucked away now, Mark Duper. All the great receivers they've had here. And he's produced the most yardage in a single season.
More than Paul Warfield. Huh. It's saying something.
Overstreet.
Right. I tell you.
Down the sideline. David Overstreet will get another Dolphin first down. And there's a flag flying. And it looks like it might come up with a late hit on it.
It certainly looked it.
Ed Newman again with a big block out in front of this dude. Watch number 64 if we pick him up.
Come around.
Undisciplined team, the Jets, with their constant penalties all year long.
Great anticipation by Overstreet and complete confidence in his offensive line because he turned up assuming the block would be made. The block was made and anticipation really got him the yard.
Overstreet now up to 63 yards. I think you're going to call that on Darrell Ray. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 28 defense, first down. Oh, with the penalty, the Dolphins have a first down goal to go at the 9-yard line. Still 11:50 to go here in the fourth quarter. The Dolphins leading 17-14 and threatening. Kirk Springs has come in now, replacing Darrell Ray. Joe Walton said that he wanted to see Kirk Springs at the safety position in that secondary where he's going to lose a couple of people this year. Troy dueling over there with Nat Moore on the timing shot from John Stott.
Troy played that very well. If there were any interference there, it would have been on offense.
And we got second down goal to go.
Jerry Holmes there, giving a few signs to the fans.
Actually, Jerry Holmes on the coverage. I'll correct myself.
Yes, it was.
Jerry Holmes is also somebody that is one of the Jets going to the USFL. He signed with Pittsburgh. Second down goal to go. breaks loose from Lance Mel, who does manage to trip him up, but again, good running by Overstreet. He's to just about the 6-yard line, where it'll be third down, goal to go. John Woodring is over there to make sure, but
You're right. Very poor tackle.
Well, I like that Overstreet. I like the way he runs. When your great runners run like jet pilots, how they fly. They got to fly miles ahead, and he's not dealing with the guy right in front of him. Looking at the guy downfield. The guy in front of him is handled. He's looking at those safeties and guys.
Hard to differentiate sometimes between good running and bad tackling.
Yep. Some guys like Earl Campbell create poor tackling.
Flag is down. The Jets are moving. Strock will have a free one. And it's incomplete. And was really hammered there.
Another key Jet mistake. Oh, boy. Hit a guy when he's out of bounds.
And now Flecko is arguing rather vehemently with the official.
I don't know why.
Probably told him he lined up offside. I think when they hit the guy out of bounds, it could be a little frustration, Frustration of the whole season.
Defense, number 73, offside. Still third down. Down remains the same, but it's a little closer. Third down, goal to go near the 3-yard line. You got to admire Flecko's and the Gastineaus and all of them. They played well tonight. They played a very hot team. Dolphins have won their last 4 in a row, 7 of their last 8. The Jets are down by 3, and we're in the fourth quarter. And the Jets really are going no place but home. And these guys have played their hearts out. Stop. Incomplete, and a flag is down. Intended for Joe Rose.
Against the Jets.
And it's going to work against the Dolphins. Oh. Offensive pass interference.
Take a look
at it in there. I think it was Rose spinning off Mel.
Yeah, the man said he pushed off.
There it is. Number 80 offense. Penalty refused. Fourth down.
Actually, Grable had him covered pretty well.
So the Dolphins are going to have to settle for 3 points. And as we look down on the field for Dolphin fans, Lyle Blackwood trotted back to the Miami Dolphins bench, so apparently his ankle is all right. Whether we'll see him again tonight, I don't know. Von Schaman with a 21-yard field goal attempt. Kuchenberg will snap it back. Strock will put it down. And Von Schaman will put it through. So the Dolphins lead. Now it's 6.
Monday Night Football.
John Strock, who works as a golf professional, undergoes a growl in off-season. What a plus he has been. Came off the bench a week ago and was sensational against Atlanta a week ago. He's having trouble, however, when they get down close against the Jets tonight. They moved the ball well up and down the middle of the field. However, 10:44 remaining in the game, and they have but a 6-point lead over the Jets.
4 times. One stopped by a Darrell Ray interception. Another, they had to go for a field goal. That was blocked. Poor kick by Von Schaman, 80. And then 2 settlements for field goal. So it's a ball game.
Preston Brown is deep to the Jets. And this one, Von Schaman will have to kick again. Backing up 5 yards, he'll kick from the 30.
Frank, his hearts are heavy in the football world today because a terribly gallant young man of the New York Football Giants, Doug Cota, passed away. Most of you are familiar with the story. A malignant brain tumor, and I use the word gallant. That's just what he was. He fought with everything he had before finally succumbing. And then, too, John Merritt, the head coach of Tennessee State. Marvelous man, marvelous coach. Died last night, heart seizure. He's the man who coached such as Ed Too Tall Jones, the great defensive back Lem Barney of the Lions, and Speedy Duncan. Our hearts are heavy, too, here in the booth, for those two great gentlemen and their family.
Never forget Doug Porter running that sweep against Buffalo, that Monday night game. Upset the Buffalo Bills. Good little running back.
They don't come along like him very often. We'll kick again from the 30. Brown is deep, along with Springs. .38 remaining in the game. In a game where neither offense has scintillated. Brown from the 5-yard line. Oh, he is hit just at the 22 and gets forward to the 23-yard line.
Their special teams, Miami's, have played superbly well on kickoff throughout the night.
As we suspected, the x-rays on Lyle Blackwood's ankle were negative, but he will not be back this evening.
Got to feel sorry for old Preston Brown. He came into the game. He was ranked 4th in the NFL in kickoff returns. If he could have won the night, he possibly could have won that title. They've done a super job on him tonight.
First down and 10, the Jets at their own 23-yard line. Freeman McNeil single setback. And he'll try the right side. He runs into Betters and Brzezinski, one of the toughest linebackers around against the run, number 59. They're really upset down here about him not making the Pro Bowl. He's had a great year.
But it's like Lance Mail. There's just so many good linebackers in this league.
I certainly agree with the choice of Chip Banks.
Oh, yeah.
Had a remarkable year.
And Ted Hendricks is going back.
Ted will be playing till he's 45.
He might be already. Second down and 8. There's a pair that's been playing tonight. Flecko and Gastineau. It's a Todd. Picked off. Kozlowski. That's it. Directing traffic. He should get in. Kozlowski takes it into the end zone. I'm not for sure there wasn't a mix-up on that play.
I don't know. He had a man behind Kozlowski. He tried to loop it over him. It was a poorly thrown ball. It was just a poorly thrown ball. It was picked off. And this game is turning into a rout.
It's spun out away from the center. It looked as if there was some kind of confusion.
He had a guard with him. That's what leads me to believe that it was a design play. Let's take a look at it. From the end zone here.
Oh, yeah.
See, he had a guard coming out there with him. So the play was designed. It was just he tried to loop it over his head, and he just didn't get enough on the ball. He shouldn't have thrown it.
No, he shouldn't have thrown it because he was almost triple covered, the intended receiver.
Von Jarman for the conversion.
Well, when you're down, you try to make something happen.
And now the crowd loves it. They breathe a collective sigh of relief as the Dolphins are on top now, 27-4. The most positive thing you can say is that he's in pretty good company.
It's a doubtful honor.
Well, let's don't forget New Orleans a few weeks ago. We're in a similar situation, and it just came back from being 2 touchdowns down and won the football game.
They did. Kurt Springs running a 76-yard punt back for a touchdown. Howard falling right off the stool.
Try it, Coach.
About to fall off again. Von Jarman to kick off. Springs and Preston Brown, as there were a few moments ago, are deep. Here comes Preston.
Oh, and a fumble.
To the 24-yard line, the ball loose.
Love the way they immediately, on each side, point the finger at their way.
Yeah, everybody wants to be Mindy Rudolph, you know? As you can see, he pulls out there. Oh, nice fake. And he just didn't quite have the touch he would like to have to get the ball over Kozlowski's head.
First and 10, the Jets. They trail 27-14. A little more than 9 minutes remaining in the game and the season for the Jets. Todd Durking. And Durking will get about 5 out of that.
And Miami will give you that short pass all day long.
It's a great crowd tonight. They are really having themselves a ball. They got a little tied up a while ago. We're a little quiet when the Dolphins had to settle for the three-pointer, but when they came back with the interception to the touchdown, they've loosened up once again.
You would think this would be a good time to get some of those backup quarterbacks to look-see. So that Pat Ryan play last week, his stats weren't impressive, but they dropped a lot of his passes. He threw the ball real well.
Second down and 6. Todd Kozlowski once again.
I think we'll see Pat Ryan real soon.
That is really sad.
Look at this guy. You don't think he's got 2 weeks to celebrate for the first playoff game for these Dolphins.
Who did that a few weeks ago for Atlanta?
Can't call the man malign now. That's really sad.
43-yard touchdown return, and I know this man. He's very sensitive.
Yeah, that's a bad trick to have playing quarterback in the NFL. It's hard to tell. There was a mix-up with his receiver there. Ties an NFL record for touchdowns on interceptions in one game. All right, Howard, who did he tie?
Meredith. Oh, that was Todd.
Oh, Donald.
Ron Shaman.
Did that turn out the lights?
They're exhausting Ron Shaman here in the fourth quarter.
Incidentally, if I knew who he tied, I would tell you, public.
We're going to get one of those UNIVAC mines down there. It's going to tell us in a moment. We showed you all that fancy equipment. They're down there just humming away, trying to come up with it.
It was an ISO.
He's just playing a free. He's the extra back in there, reading Richard's eyes.
Dropped back 10 yards, and what do you know? Moved over. Nice catch.
You think he could leave that?
Hey, he did what Lance Mill had an opportunity to do tonight. Picked off 2.
11 in the Orange Bowl. This old place is 46 years old, and it's rocking tonight. Kozlowski has tied 13 other players who have intercepted 2 balls and taken it back to touchdowns. We'll give you the rundown shortly. Preston Brown. Flag is down and Brown is down up around the 24-yard line. And we'll see if Richard Todd remains. Oh, yes, he does.
Well, Frank, you've been around a lot longer than me. Why do you draft a guy number 1, Ken O'Brien, if you're never going to let him play? He could be a rookie next year. I mean, you know.
Well, he will be. I can only say what they have said. That is, he didn't want to. Let's get the call first. Number 82, illegal block in the back, doing a run back, first down. Jerome Barkham. They just didn't want to throw him in when he hasn't had any work. Todd does all the work during the week.
But how much has he played this year?
First round draft pick out of Cal Davis. There he is. He was a holdout in training camp, but didn't get the work there. Freeman McNeil.
One guy that hadn't given up is Freeman McNeil. Still running the ball hard. You would think they would have given this guy a chance to throw the ball a few times.
There he is, Ken O'Brien. Great numbers coming out of Cal Davis. A bit of a shock to Jet fans, but not to anyone who followed this game. He was sensational out there. Not only is a quarterback throwing the ball, he ran the ball well. He's very mobile. Has some arm. Second down and 5. McNeil once again. And this time he is hammered at the line of scrimmage. He might have got a yard out of it. It'll be third down and 3. And we'll tell you, our telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is prohibited.
I'll tell you, the Jets are lucky Arnspark is going to LSU.
Yeah. I tell you, those 2 runs in a row is kind of meant to throw in the towel in.
I'll tell you, one of the 13 guys, Anderson, your friend Frank, in that Monday night game when he had the 4 intercepts, returned 2 for touchdown.
Fumble. Todd lost the pulling away from the center.
You talk about a great safety, you talk about Dick Anderson.
And that'll bring up fourth down.
Tagged me a few times.
Oh, that was some defensive backfield. 25 Foley, 45 Curtis Johnson, 13 was who?
Oh, Dick Scott.
And number 4.
Curtis Johnson.
Dick Anderson.
Oh, Dick Anderson.
45 was
Curtis
Curtis.
Johnson. Oh, I'm sorry. I blew that. Come on, Howard. Name the 13 guys who have 2 interceptions.
Don't ask him to add it up.
Know everything.
What? Don't ask him to add it up.
I thought
that's
you was
not
about
nice.
partner.
I added it up wrong also, you know. Fourth down, Ramsey to punt. Ramsey had to hurry that one off the side of his foot. Fair catch called for. Handled rather niftily by Glenn Blackwood. So the Dolphins in good field position once again with 6:40 on the clock, and they are looking at other good-looking possibilities for home field, at least through the divisional playoffs. Well, it began back in July for the Jets. Hot summer day, and it's winding up in Miami tonight.
Yep, and it began auspiciously in the regular season with a 41-29 victory over San Diego.
On first down, Overstreet.
Oh.
Steps inside of one tackler, gets a couple of yards, stops the clock with 6:34 remaining in the game, and at the Jets' 47-yard line.
And immediately after that, losses to New England and Seattle. And it's been basically downhill all year. And what you're seeing tonight is the disintegration of a team that last year was one game away from the Super Bowl and is still not an old team. They should have been peaking in their prime. Instead, this.
Second down and 8. Franklin and Overstreet. Dolphins are thinking about working on the clock now.
The thing about the Jets, if you think about it, all season long, no one seems to have an answer as to what's wrong with the team, and I don't know what they expect to find in the offseason if they can't figure it out now. Somebody's got to come up with some answers.
One would think.
Third down and 4.
Players seem to be confused about the problems of the team, that is.
Stock from the shotgun. No flag. The Jet got back. This is Tony Nathan. Nathan will be short of the first down as he gets to the Jets' 41-yard line. It will be fourth down and 2. Rusty Gilbo made the stop for the Jets. We're going to pause 5 seconds for station identification.
Channel 10, WPLG TV Miami.
Fourth down for the Miami Dolphins. They lead the Jets 34-14. Jets had it close until the Dolphins, Kozlowski picked off 2 Richard Todd passes in a matter of minutes and ran them in for touchdowns. And the season will be over for the Jets. And the Dolphins will have one leg up on home field advantage.
We're looking at Roby. He'd like to get this ball in the end zone. As we said, he's after a team record here.
Oh, he's hit a beautiful punt. He gets it so high, and this one takes the Dolphin back. The 4-yard line. He's had a spectacular night. Reggie Roby, a 6th-round draft pick out of Iowa. That was only a 36-yard punt, but the Jets will be right on the shadow of their goalpost.
I bet he has mixed emotions about that because, as we said, he's trying. Well, with that average for the night, he'll continue. He will have the Jets. Yeah, he will have the Jets. The Dolphin record for season punt average.
Today, this ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by Buick. For comfort, reliability, innovation, and a real commitment to quality, see the 84 Buicks now, and by light beer from Miller, everything you've always wanted in a beer and less. Richard Todd stays in the lineup. He's throwing his 26th interception of the season. And big pileup over on the left side. Gain of a couple of yards by Scott Durkee.
Well, it's apparent the Jets are trying to run out the clock, too. It's been a long season for them. They'll need this offseason to sort out whatever problems they try to find.
Wesley Walker, who did not have a reception tonight.
That's
Great
unbelievable.
He didn't have one last week either. Second down and 8. Todd.
Well,
Walker.
I think he heard you.
Well, we got that straightened out. And Walker gets out of bounds with the first down out over the 15-yard line.
Well, Wesley's had a good year. That's his 61st reception.
Wesley Walker is a great football player. There's got to be something wrong when you're within 5 minutes of the termination of the game and he has one reception.
Yeah, that's a lot of time. Good game.
First down, Jets. Dolphins movement, and a flag is down. Richards will have a free one. Gets it to Scott Durking. And Durking low to the ground because that's where he's built as the first down yardage. Bob Baumauer in the middle of the Dolphin line has moved into the neutral zone. All right, we've got all the wires working. 73 defense, offside, penalty refused. Show you the record that Kozlowski tied. There's a bunch of them. It goes back a long way. 2 touchdowns, interceptions in a single game.
Miller Farr, huh?
Oh, yeah. He was a great
brother.
How about Jerry Norton?
That's before me, folks.
Here's Kozlowski. Kenny Johnson of Atlanta. He did it about 3 weeks ago. That's
correct.
Look at Ken Houston.
And they were almost identical to this return on the other side of the field.
Harris.
Okay, we'll turn him out. Juice will sing it.
No. Let's do a duet here, Howard.
Not on second down. Freeman McNeil out of the backfield. Boy, he can move, can he?
I think he surprises him a little bit.
Oh, he ran around.
It doesn't look like he can fly.
He ran away from Kozlowski and Mark Brown, the rookie from Purdue.
Once again, you see he lined up. You saw that he lined up behind the quarterback. He just did a little swing out of the backfield. And Howard made mention that they've thrown a lot of these passes throughout the year. I'm surprised at this point of the game if they're going to throw while they're not throwing downfield.
Well, they are dropping off about 25 and 30 yards now.
Now they are.
Miami defense.
Now they are. Frank's right about that.
Yeah, but it's been the trend of the whole game. The throws.
That's true.
60-50 backs are in there.
Now you can't do it.
Todd with a good shot. Fires it complete. Goes to Gaffney. Jerry Gaffney will have another Jet first down around the 35-yard line. A lot of new folks in there defensively now.
Yeah, but Derek Gaffney's not new. He's a sticky-fingered receiver.
I said there are a lot of new defensive players in there for the Dolphins.
Oh,
Correct.
Well, let's see. Who do you think Miami is going to have to get ready for, Howard?
Donnie Hector, single setback now for the Jets on first down at Miami's 36-yard line. Good defensive play. That one batted away.
If Seattle wins, it appears that Miami will have to play the wild card team, whoever wins the wild card game, because all 3 wild card teams will be from the Western Conference, and the Raiders can't play one of those guys.
however it winds up, they'll be playing the Raiders, in my opinion, and we had that game in the Coliseum.
And the Raiders have historically not had much problems with the Dolphins.
Especially when Stabler waffled the ball to Clarence Davis that beat Shula in the final second.
Jets have a second down and 10. Richard Todd trying to get it to Derek Gaffney once again. It's incomplete. Glenn Blackwood is looking for the interception.
Poor pass anyway, a little high. He is not, I don't know if it's that thigh injury or what, but he has not thrown the ball well downfield the last few weeks. The last few weeks that I've watched.
I think he made that.
Well, hey, I have the right to do what you do sometimes. I can belabor a few points. I learned from the best.
Stop. You're making Frank happy.
Third down and 10. And Jones, and he loses it once again. And this time the Dolphins keep it in bounds. Glenn Blackwood Twice tonight, Lamb Jones has made good receptions, only to cough it up. Paul Langford got it out of there for the Dolphins, and Glenn Blackwood covered it.
Fortunately, the game wasn't on the line here because Lamb Jones has had an excellent year. He should have a good offseason. Nice catch there. He did this earlier in the game. He just seemed to have a little problem putting the ball away. Must have something to do with them gloves he's wearing. It's not cold out here. I can't imagine why he's wearing gloves.
We've got a first down and 10 now for the Dolphins. They can work on the ticker, which shows 3 minutes and 3 seconds.
Bud Grant would have had those gloves off, I bet.
The Dolphins are going to wind up 12-4 on the season.
Yeah, why would he wear gloves? It's got to be 65, 70 degrees here.
Well, maybe it's hot down there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Under Franklin, puts a couple. Then Rudolph is in there defensively for the Jets. Third-round pick from a couple of years ago. Rudolph out of Long Beach State. So Don Strock is going to record another victory. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Dolphins consider. And with Marino's knee apparently going to be okay for the playoffs, which will begin for them in a couple of weeks. Second down and 8. Overstreet, he's had a big night, and he took some more yardage on the chartboard as he gets another first down, killing the clock at 2:16 at the 40-yard line.
You know, if he'd have cut back that time, he looked like he could have had a real big run, and I'm surprised he wasn't thinking about cutting back because with the game they don't want anybody running about. Nobody wants anybody going about.
That's Guy Bingham, who sprained his knee in the early third quarter. And, of course, that had some impact on the Jets. Right now, Overstreet has his second 80-yard game consecutive.
Interesting stat, his second 80-yard game. I bet Jim Brown has a comment about that.
Jim Brown didn't flunk out of Montreal.
We're down to 80-yard games now.
Oh, well. Overstreet,
a little more than 80
this time he coughs it up. Flag is down, however. Wild scramble for the ball. But again, the flag is down at the line of scrimmage. That's the problem they were concerned with Overstreet. Don Stock has picked up the flag and brought it back to the official. Penalty refused. First down. It was a holding call against Bob Kuchenberg. Penalty obviously refused by the Jets. They get a first and 10 at the 48-yard line of the Dolphins. 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Hardly enough time to pull it out. Oh, well.
Oh, boy. Turn out the lights.
They turned the lights out a long time ago. Those cats. On first down, Todd is back. Off the fingertips of Durking. It'll be second down and 10. Well,
sad thing to see. The way it ended for this team.
reminder once again, Monday night we'll be in San Francisco. The Dallas Cowboys hopefully bouncing back from what happened to them against the Redskins. They were thumped. They go against the 49ers. All kinds of possibilities for the 49ers. Howard interpreted all that for you at halftime. Todd got it in there. Schuler didn't handle it. And we'll get the 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning. Crowd rapidly moving out of the stadium that was sold out tonight. 75,000 plus. And Mickey Schuler again hit hard, having a difficult time. We'll be back. Wait. They continue to work on Mickey Schuler. Twice has been down tonight. Dolphins have really been taking it to the Jet receivers and coming down the field, and they have got Mickey Schuler on the ground once again.
Well, I call the Dolphins a finesse team, which basically they have been. But have you noticed how much harder they've been hitting in this game and against Atlanta than usual? They are coming up to these playoffs in fine form.
They really are coming into it in great shape.
And they had 2 weeks to prepare.
They've got that great plus, too, of having a Don Strock that can come in, relieving the AFC's leading passer, young Dan Marino, and performing in 2 consecutive victories. Take a look at the replay in the pass that Mickey Schuler has been shaken up on.
It seems as if every time he drops the pass or gets tagged, it's at the same part of the field. Actually, he was down.
Could have fallen right on the ball.
Could have. But he was on his knees when he got hit. Could have done something. Didn't look like they were looking at his legs, though.
Yeah, they're really quite concerned about Mickey Schuler.
I tell you, it's a curse as far as the players are concerned. You've had a long season. You've made it all the way here to the last 2 minutes of the season and got an off season to go home and relax, and you get injured.
They'll get a report.
Unless you hate to see the stretcher. So in a matter of minutes, we've seen Guy Bingham leave the arena on crutches, and now this.
Mickey Schuler, a 6th-year man out of Penn State. I mentioned it earlier, but he was slow getting up. I believe it was in the first quarter after being hit very hard.
It's hard to see exactly what they're working on. You may be right. It may be in his ribs or his sternum.
Richard Todd right in there close talking with him. And now Joe Walton's on the field. There's much concern about Mickey Schuler.
Oh, he's up. That's a good
Wait.
Long night for the Jets, particularly Mickey Schuler. The executive producer of ABC Sports is Roone Arledge. ABC's NFL Football Friday Night Edition, produced by Bob Goodrich, directed by Jim Jeanette. Technical Director Joe Chavo, Associate Director Alan Brum, Technical Manager Coach Coltrane, Unit Manager Lenny Nathan, Telecommunications Manager Stu Strelzer, Assistants to the producer Jay Cutlow and Tony Tortorisi.
Looks like it could be a collar. Or collarbone.
Thank heaven he's walking off under his own foul.
Our busy folks tonight, Steve Hurt on Stats and Graphics. Stats and Research, Joe Cox, and for Steve Bazika, our spotter on 3rd down and 10. Richard Todd fires one that Glenn Blackwood made a diving attempt for the interception at the 32-yard line. 4th down coming up for the Jets.
He could have a shoulder or collarbone up there.
The way he's holding himself, that's what it would appear to be.
4th down, what could be the final down of the season for the Jets, unless they can produce the first. Gaffney split up to the top of the screen. Could be how the season will end for Richard Todd. It's Alfred on the sack, along with Mike Charles, the outstanding rookie from Syracuse.
That you see through the ball, and Mike Charles does what he calls his levitation dance. He says whenever he gets the sack, he's going to rise and make the quarterback rise up with a levitation move of his.
And Todd lost himself.
And Todd lost the frustration of the season.
It's just a sad way for a professional football team to end the season. There's no other way to put it, because this game has...
Especially in light, Howard, of his teammates doing his dance. He has to know all the time. Now, I mean, who are the Jets to get upset? Watch 71. He'll do his levitation dance here.
No, Todd is emotionally broken down.
Look at it. That's his levitation.
I might have
Oh, look at this. Can you believe it? He gets pushed to the back, hit with the ball. Oh, they should go talk to their defensive player, Gastineau, there if they can't handle another team doing it.
Well, it's more than that.
I know what it is, Howard, but it's still, hey, you reap what you sow.
All right, I like that.
Turnabout, fair play.
Well, that's one.
We're getting really deep in the late hours.
I'll give you, but this is professional football team, so undisciplined, so they're going to be so embarrassed and ashamed of themselves.
117 yards of penalties on the Jets for the night.
Big Mike Charles, though. Guy, 280 pounds is his assigned weight. Every week he weighs about 290, 295 early in the week.
1:45. Woody Bennett will work on the clock for the Dolphins. I don't think the Jets are going to want to stop it. The old levitation dance.
Duke is doing it in the booth.
The levitation dance. Okay. You got to be able to take it, you know. You go 2 seasons watching your guy do it.
I wonder what Bobby Lane would have done. Somebody would have levitated dance over him.
He wouldn't have threw the ball at the back of his helmet. He'd have turned around and got in the front of the helmet.
You're right about that.
2nd and 8. Seconds ticking off. Now the final minute. Stock will watch the 30-second clock tick down. Hands off to Overstreet. Overstreet this time fighting to stay in town. Good running by Overstreet.
Yeah, sure is. Once again, not the best tackling, but hey, the Dolphins, boy, they went to the Super Bowl last year, and despite a few, loss of personnel on defense, I think they're a better team this year, especially when Marino is in there.
They just appear to be much more solid team now. Again, Howard touched on it earlier. They have been really known around the league as more of a finesse team, although they have some pretty heavy hitters when you think of Brzezinski and you think of Bob Baumauer. And the tough teams, the really battling teams, and the brutal teams, if you will, the Redskins and the Raiders. And they're down the line. But the Dolphins are thinking a Super Bowl once again this year. Final seconds ticking away. The Dolphins will go 12-4. They'll have home field advantage for at least the divisional playoffs. They'll wait for the Raiders and Chargers on Sunday to find out about the rest of the playoffs. Kozlowski, 2 touchdown interceptions. Once again, our final score, 34-14, Miami over the Jets. Tonight on Nightline with Ted Kopp on the Playboy Mystique. It's been around now for 30 years. But what kind of impact has it made on American values? And a look at tonight's U.S.-Soviet hockey game. That's all tonight on Nightline right after your late local news on most of these ABC stations. Our travel arrangements may do and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines, the official airline of the 1984 L.A. Olympic Games and the proud sponsor of the United States Olympic team. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television. We'll see you Monday night from San Francisco, the 49ers and the Cowboys.